Even elite athletes need support to reach their goals. Pour aller plus loin que ceux et celles avant eux et pour laisser un sport meilleur à ceux et celles qui les suivront. Athletes Can represents members of Canada's senior national teams who compete at multi-sport and world championship events. Nous avons pour mission de parler d'une seule voix puissante en faveur d'un système sportif centré sur l'athlète, where athlete rights are respected, où les préoccupations des athlètes sont entendues et prises en compte, and where athletes influence key decisions made in Canada's sports system. Nous formons des athlètes leaders qui influencent les politiques du sport et inspirent une solide culture sportive. We're a safe and inclusive place to share your perspectives and concerns on the issues you care about. Et ensemble, nous suscitons et réalisons des changements. We were the first organization founded by national team athletes for athletes. Depuis, nous avons toujours été des leaders mondiaux en matière de représentation des athlètes. Join Athletes Can. Vous y êtes chez vous.
Welcome back, everybody. This is the second day of the second set of trials, and I am Laurence Vincent-Lapointe, and today I am joined by Pierre-Luc Laliberté to be your commentators for the afternoon and all those amazing finals we'll have the chance to see.
Yeah, thanks, Laurence. It's great to be back, and good job yesterday, really covering the first day. A lot of exciting races yesterday that we had the chance to see, some great finals and everything, and we have a really cool slate of finals coming today. In just a few minutes, we're going to start with the Para-Va 200-meter final, and then we'll have the men's VL1 200-meter final. And there'll be a little bit of a break, and then we'll be back with the men's senior K1 500 meters, the A final, and then the U18 men's K1 500-meter A final. And we'll then have the B and C finals for those two categories. And then at 3 p.m. or 3:10, we'll have the senior men's C1 500-meter final, followed by the U18 C1 500-meter. And then have the B's and C finals after that for those two categories. We'll come back with the women's K1 500-meter finals just before 4 o'clock, and then come back with the women's C1 200-meter final at 4:40 Eastern. And then we'll close the day at 5:10 with the Para Kayak race, the final there for the 200 meters. So exciting slate of finals this afternoon. Lots of racing, lots of continuous action. So I think you'll hear our voices for the next 4 hours or something as we'll go through this exciting second day of the trials. So yeah, it should be a really interesting one. It's really nice weather here. Sorry, Lance. I'm sitting in the tower here at the Basin, so light wind as you can kind of see behind us from the southeast. Really perfect racing conditions. It's 29 degrees, feels like 31 or 32, so really, really hot. Makes for really fast times today. So it should be exciting to see how the athletes do.
Exactly what I was gonna say. Right now seems like it's one of those super fast days on the Montreal Basin, and those days can be really good for record breaking. So it's gonna be interesting to see how our athletes perform this afternoon. Most distances today are going to be 500 meters, but we are starting with 200-meter races in the first one being the final in the Para-Va 200-meter A final one. So here we have the athletes. In lane 3, we have from Ottawa, Brianna Hennessy. In lane 5 from Shawnigan, we have Yves Bourque. And in lane 8 from Masqua, we have Dave Waters. As you cannot see properly right now because the numbers are a bit hard to see, but the 8th lane is closest to us, and the athlete in lane 3, Brianna, is the furthest away from us.
Yeah, and we have a really high caliber of athletes here, all athletes that have had a lot of experience racing either in canoe kayak or other para sports over the last few years. And so it's really exciting to see how fast they can do here. Again, this is qualification towards the World Championships. And oh, here we go. Great start here from bottom of your screen from Dave Waters. And again, short strokes here, trying to get the boat up to speed as those athletes are powering through the first 50 meters, and then really trying to be as efficient as they can be. For people watching at home, there's a race within a race here, multiple categories, but just racing them against each other just to be able to see what kind of time they can do, and able to get good racing and competitive racing here at the second set of trials.
And in lane three, furthest to our right, is Brianna Hennessy, who has participated in the last year's Paralympic events. So it's really great to see athletes who have gone to such high levels of competition still are in our trials, team trials.
And really close race here as we close towards the finish. All three athletes within the same kind of nose. But it looks like Brianna might have just sneaked the win here over Dave as they were going through. But again, race within the race here, and they'll all be looking at the clock to look at times against specific standards. But fast day out there. I think athletes will be quite happy with that race. Look pretty clean from here, and just really, really tiring. It's hot out there. The 200 is a tiring event. Gets you full of lactic acid, so you can see the athletes are quite spent out there. So great racing from all three of them.
So our next race will be in about 3 minutes, and we have two athletes in this is a different category. This is the VL1 200 meter event. In lane 5, we will have from Masqua, Benjamin Brown, and in lane 6 from Balmy Beach, Miguel Garcia Sanchez. So even though it's only two athletes, a lot of their qualification has to do with their own times. As we just saw in this race, these athletes were from different categories, so it doesn't matter if there's 100 of them or one of them, as long as they race for their own times and own set of how do you say that? Requirements.
Yeah, just standards. Yeah, as they're trying to make the world standards to hop on an international team. This race is really exciting. Ben's a newcomer to the para program, transferring from track and field. So really trying a new sport this year and dropping his time really quickly, race over race. And we do have the results here from the previous race on the screen before we keep going. So just under a minute there. Again, close racing. Brianna taking the win in a 59.64. Dave Waters from Masqua right behind in a 59.75. And Eve closing the field here in third place with a 1 minute 0.32. So again, great racing from all three of those athletes. Very, very close finish. But yeah, I was just saying, transferring from track and field, para-athletics from Ben here, just every time he's on the water, he's getting faster. So excited to see how he will do here in this race. And then Miguel as well, just a strong racer and then continuing to push the limits of the sport. So it'll be great to see this VL1 race as they're just entering the blocks here for this 200 meter final. And here we go, strong start. Yeah, very, very quick stroke rate. You can see the athletes are often switching sides here just to keep the boat kind of centered and level as they're going forward. And they'll start to transition into their race pace here. Really long strokes, trying to keep the glide as they're going through. Each athlete has kind of their own style and their own strengths and weaknesses that they're kind of pushing to really maximize the speed and the power that they have. So it's a bit of their own style and their own race plan here as they're going. So some will start really strong, some will have better glide as they're going through this 200, but really, really strong race here as they're entering the last 100 meters. And you can see that stroke rate really trying to stay as high as possible and making those transition from left to right to be as quick as possible and not disrupting the flow of the boat. But really close race here as we approach the last 50 meters. Again, it'll be a bit of a nail biter here as we're getting to the last few meters. Looks to be very close. Maybe Ben with a slight edge, but very, very close between him and Miguel as they're entering the last few meters. So there we go. Close racing here, and great race by Ben and Miguel as they're crossing the line in first and second place. What a race from those two.
Yeah, very amazing race. And you could see both athletes were switching blades from side to side because it helps them steer. But some athletes sometimes decide to keep it on one side, a little bit like canoers in C1. And it can help because having to switch the blade from one side to the other can be a little bit time consuming. But at the same time, if you need to switch it to better steer, that's also a technique that works well as long as you know how to do it quickly. And our athletes, you could see they were cheering for each other, and it's really great to see such camaraderie in our ranks.
Yeah, and we should have the results from this race in just the next few minutes as things kind of get concluded here. And actually, the results are available. So Ben Brown did take the win in 112.9, and Miguel Garcia Sanchez from Balmy Beach in the second place in 114.35. So close racing from these two athletes. As Laurence said, just really exciting and good to see, like, fist bump afterwards and debriefing the race. They're in the same category, so we'll continue to kind of push together to both try to go faster and work with their coach, either at their own clubs or with the national team. So exciting to see the para program continue to improve.
And right now we have a little bit of a break. The next race should be around 2:25. It will be a different distance, so everyone now will be doing 500 meter for the next disciplines. So we will be starting, as BL said a little bit earlier. We will be starting with men's K1s 500 meter, then followed by men's C1 500 meter, and then women's K1 500, and finally we'll have women's C1. And to finish the day, we will have another para race, the para kayak 200 meters. So going back onto the last race will be another short distance. And if we look a little bit at the amount of people racing all in the finals, it's very similar to yesterday. Seems like we have a lot of finals, mostly in the men's kayak. Sorry, our partners are currently on the screen. These are people who are helping us, like I mentioned yesterday. They're helping us to make sure that this event is able to happen. So we have Government of Canada, we have Team Canada, Olympic Team Canada, Paralympic Team Canada, we have On the Podium, we have Canadian Sports Centre Atlantic, the Canadian Sports Institute, and the INS Sports in Quebec. We have in the brands, we have Apogee, Nello, Immediacy, Zizou Optics, and Ramp Registration. So thank you very much to our sponsors and partners. These are people who really make our events happen, and also they sponsor our team and members, and they're really, really helpful. So thank you very much.
And we're getting ready to go here shortly in the men's K1 500 meter. Athletes are going up the course. I actually just saw Ben Brown see his time and just take a big fist pump and really splash the water. So that may have been a fastest time and a PB for him out there. So I think quite ecstatic about his performance. So great to see some happy results from some of the athletes out there. And this race is going to be really exciting. This men's K1 500 should be a really close one. Yesterday in the 1,000 meter, we had the chance to see Pierre-Luc Poulin win, just edge out Brian Malfazy, and then have Cameron Lowe coming in third place. So it should be interesting to see those athletes kind of go back. A new addition in this race will be Simon McTavish, who didn't compete yesterday, and really breeze through the heats and the finals. So it should be really, really close between all of those as they'll try to vie for that first place on the podium of the 500. And as you can see on the screen, really calm weather and beautiful and optimal racing weather here at the Basin as athletes are making their way for this set of finals this afternoon.
And as you've mentioned, the addition here, Simon McTavish, also raced, it's important to mention, also raced with Pierre-Luc Poulin, who won the 1,000 meter yesterday during he raced during the last World Cups, and so he's an athlete who cannot be disregarded. So it's going to be very interesting to see who makes it on the first step of the podium, because we've I don't know if we've mentioned it today, but the racing during these trials are for a lot of different reasons. But for the senior athletes, it is mainly for the senior world championships, and for we also have the U23 World Championship selections, the U18 World Championship selections, and the Olympic Hopes selection. So our athletes during this weekend are all vying for those spots. So it's a lot of it's a very challenging weekend for them, but it's very entertaining for us to watch.
Yeah, it should be really interesting. I remember, and Laurence, like I think you and I have done this for years and years. Trials doesn't get easier, even when you're top of your game, even when you're one of the
Never.
best athletes. It's still stressful. It's still something that you have to go through to be able to race against the best. And you never know when a junior athlete steps up, someone younger just wants to take their place as the senior, as the next one, right? So none of these races are a given for anyone. It's always really interesting, especially for us as spectators, to see who's made a step between the first set and the second set, and who might be able to surprise for a win or a podium here as they make their way onto an international team or onto the national team. So certainly a lot at stakes, and it's going to be really exciting this afternoon to watch a lot of these 500s. Sometimes these events, except the women's K1 and the women's C1, but for the guys today, the 500 is not an Olympic event, so it is in singles at least. So it's kind of an additional event where we can assess strengths and weaknesses as crews are getting formed, and then as kind of we get to see some good performances, and coaches can take that away and look at building K4s, C4s, and K2s and C2s. So certainly still a lot there, and then those races will still get raced at the World Championships and elsewhere. So still people trying to get the win here, to get the lane to compete against all the very best in the world.
And it is somewhat of a newer distance, like you mentioned, for the guys mostly. They've never really had the chance to paddle 500. Well, a few years back they could, but in their most recent years, it was mostly 1,000 meter or 200 meter for the guys. So it's about finding your race plan. I know I often talk about race plan and finding what you want to do and where you want to push or hold. And this being a newer distance, it's a learning curve for some athletes to make sure that they can finish as strong as they started, and maybe win this race. So it's very important to learn how you react for a different distance.
Yeah, and Laos, maybe for folks at home that have never raced the 500 meters, can you kind of walk us through how you approached 500s, and how different from the 200, which you kind of focused on for most of your career?
For sure, yeah. Also, well, before I start with my race plan, I'll just let you know that I personally feel like the 500 meter is the most painful one for me, at least. It is the distance where it's really painful because I push super fast in the beginning, super fast in the end, but at the end of the race, my legs give out, and I almost black out because I push so much. So it's a very, very tough race, very difficult distance. But so yeah, usually I mostly focus in the C2 race plan because that's what I know best. We usually try to have a really, really strong start and hold for about 100, 125 meters. And then we want to transition into our most efficient gliding technique. So we want to have strokes that matter and not just overstroking, not getting the rate super, super high up, because this is not always necessary. What you want is the glide and power efficient paddle. And so that's what we get into. And then about halfway of the race, we know that according to a race plan, we know that halfway to the race, we do have enough energy that we can push until the end of the race. That's a little bit what we did last year during the Olympics. Halfway, we were about fifth, and we finished third because we knew we had enough energy to really push it towards the end. And so 250, you start accelerating, and then at the last 200, last 100, last 50, you just keep going up and up and up in power and rate. And this is my personal my personal racing plan, but it depends really on everyone. Some people have more energy and they can afford to start even faster in the first half, and they're able to hold. And it depends from person to person. But it is, I know I've said it, but I'll say it again. It is a very, very difficult and painful race.
Yeah, thanks, Laurence. Just for giving folks at home just a bit of a perspective of how you've approached these and the way that you guys and you and Katie kind of thought about the race last year. A very exciting race again at the Olympics, and again, congratulations, which I'm sure you've heard multiple times, but it's can't be said enough how impressive that was to have the both of you race there and be the first really to get on that Olympic podium.
Thank you.
Great. So we'll get ready to go here in about 4 minutes. You can see on the camera we're set at the 500 meters, and all the coaches are on the other sides on their bikes, waiting for their athletes to get to the start line for this first senior final of the men's K1 this afternoon. So we'll have here in lane 1 Justin Lavigne de Pointe-Claire, in lane 2 Ian Godet from Bannock, in lane 3 Alex Canning from Bannock, in lane 4 Brian Malfazy from Ridge. In lane 5, Simon McTavish from Mississauga. In lane 6, Vincent Jourdanet de Trois-Rivières. In lane 7, Jacob Steele from Masqua. In lane 8, Laurent Lavigne de Trois-Rivières. And in lane 9, Cameron Lowe from Balmy Beach. So our winner from yesterday, Pierre-Luc Poulin from the 1,000 meter, not racing the 500 and choosing to focus his energy on the other events this weekend. But certainly exciting to see all of the other athletes here lining up for this a little shorter distance, but still a bit too long for me, I would say, as we get ready to go. So we should expect the athletes to be about a minute 40, if I'm not mistaken, just under that, from what we saw in the heats this morning and the semis, if I'm not mistaken. So it should be a quick one for a number of them as we go through quick conditions. So we might see some personal bests here as we're getting ready to go with this first set of final. As I'm looking up the course, it looked like the athletes are still standing just on top of the starting line and just doing some loops as they're warming up. So we might be getting ready to go in just a few minutes.
And you mentioned the coaches on the other side of the course. For them, this is a very good indicator of who's able to do a really good 500. So even for their crew boats, this is a distance they want to see how their athletes are performing. That's why they're following. But they also, it's a rule that they're not allowed to enforce or cheer for their athletes any pace or anything. So even though they are there, they cannot say anything until about the last 100 or 150 meter or so, I think. So it's just for them. They're just there to follow the race, see how their athletes are doing, and no nothing else.
Yeah, and athletes are now in their lanes and starting to paddle slowly towards the start line. So you should see them appear in your screen very shortly. We switched back now to the finish line camera as you're seeing some of the athletes getting ready to go back up and just looking at the finish line here. But as we get to the start line, the gates are up and athletes are starting to make their way, as you can see now. Once again, lane 1 farthest on the far shore, and lane 9 closest to us as we're going through. And we're getting ready to go here in this senior men's K1, final. So once again, in lane 1, Justin Lavigne, in lane 2, Ian Godet, in lane 3, Alex Canning, in lane 4, Brian Malfazy, lane 5, Simon McTavish, lane 6, Vincent Jourdanet, lane 7, Jacob Steele, lane 8, Laurent Lavigne, and in lane 9, Cameron Lowe.
So all the athletes are ready, and it started. Is done. It seems like lane 5 has taken a slight lead, and in lane 5 we do have Simon McTavish, who's gone, like I said, racing 500 meter at the World Cups. These athletes are all super, super good, but taking the lead here might mean that he's able to keep it until the end. So we'll see from a different angle who's leading this race.
Yeah, and Simon and Pierre-Luc coming off some really strong results in the K2 500 meters at the World Cup and the K4 500. So he's certainly familiar with that distance. Also raced K1000 last year at the Olympic Games. So again, a very well and versatile men's kayak athlete. But yeah, looking really strong here as we come through the last 200. So Simon opening up a little bit of a lead with looking like lane 8 is also really doing really well here. Laurent Lavigne, again, a member of that K4 crew, really pushing the pace here from the outside lanes. Laurent's one of those athletes that will blast off the line, and then it's just a question of holding on. So we'll see how if other athletes are starting to reel him in, but looking really good here with about 75 or 100 meters left to go.
Yeah, and we didn't say it, but Laurent Lavigne is on the younger side. So Simon a little bit older, more experienced, and easy win for Simon, followed by lane 5 and 4, I believe, maybe 8. So lane 5 being, no, sorry, 4 and 3. So lane 4 being Brian Malfeasy and lane 3 being Alex Canning. So unless I'm mistaken, it was Simon McTavish, Brian Malfeasy, and Alex Canning.
Yeah, really close, and then Laurent in lane 2, close for them to call, but looks like Laurent may have came fourth here as we were going through. But yeah, really strong performance and dominating performance from Simon here in the 500 meter event.
And like I mentioned earlier, sometimes some athletes will start too fast or too slow and try to catch up or try to keep up in front, and it can you can get stuck in your own head, and sometimes it breaks your race. So it's really important that you follow your own plan.
Yeah, so exciting race here for the seniors. We'll get the times in just a minute as we get ready to watch the under 18 men's K1 500 meter final. Lots on the line here, including Junior World Championships berth for some of these races. So really exciting to see junior athletes competing against each other here to be the top under 18 in Canada.
Yeah, and it's interesting to mention that our top 3 from the 1,000 meter in the junior event yesterday are all beside each other. So, and they are in order. So you'll have to watch maybe lane 3, Jeremy Lance, lane 4, Carson Corey, and lane 5, Alex Harrod Hellwood, who did come in first, second, and third yesterday in the 1,000. So who knows? Maybe 500 is going to be more difficult for them, or maybe we'll see something similar as yesterday's race.
And here's the start list for this under 18 men's K1 500 meter final. So on your screen. So in lane 1, Raphaël Côté du Lac-Beauport. In lane 2, Carter Nogler from Chima. In lane 3, Jérémy Lance de Trois-Rivières. In lane 4, Carson Corey from Burloak. In lane 5, Alex Aerith Elwood from Sinobe. In lane 6, Louis Couture du Lac-Beauport. In lane 7, Eli Nolan from Sinobe. In lane 8, Braden Lawrence from Masqua. And in lane 9, Nathan Legier from Chima. So really strong crew, and someone here really eager to get going already in the blocks as all the athletes are getting going here. Lane 5 ready to go as we're seeing all the athletes approach the start line. Again, lane 1 on the far side, lane 9 closest to you. This one should be a really quick one in the U18 men's K1 500 meters.
Very nice start. Seems like lane 1 might be a little bit ahead. Lane 1 being Raphaël Côté from Lac-Beauport. And we'll need to see if the middle athletes here in middle lanes will maybe take the lead, because as we remember, middle lanes are usually the ones who qualified the fastest from the previous event of the day. So we'll need another angle to see who's leading this race.
It looks like a pretty tight race from where I'm standing at the finish line at this time, and as you can see on your screen, middle lanes are starting to break off from the pack a little bit, but certainly some strong starts from lane 1 and all the way to lane 8 and 9 as well. So it should be a pretty tight field here as they cross the 250 meters and are getting close to the last 200. So you can see tight race here. It looks like middle lanes, like lane 4. Is probably in the lead as we're going through. But again, we saw in the previous one, being ahead with 200 to go doesn't mean you necessarily take the win as lactic acid starts to build. So it's all about finishing here and ensuring that you remain efficient and then you are able to carry your speed all the way through the finish.
And we can see for some athletes, it looks very difficult. They're trying to accelerate their pace, but it's so hard and mentally difficult. So we seem to have lane 4, 3, and 5. The same top 3 as yesterday's in different orders. But it seems like top it was Carson Corey in first, Jeremy Lance in second, and then Alex Hellwood in third, from what we could see. So really, really impressive race. From start to finish, these guys really kept to themselves and really pushed it. You know, they had the energy at the end to do that finish, and it paid off.
Yeah, and great race from lane 1 as well, coming in here in 4th place. He was the last time qualifier in a really tough semi, so great to see the athlete from Lac-Beauport here coming in 4th place. So we get to see the results from the first final, the senior men's K1 500 meter final. So the first men's K1 final, I should say. So Simon McTavish taking the win in a 138.28, followed by Brian Malfazy from Ridge in a 140.48, and then Alex Canning from Bannock taking 3rd place here, just edging Laurent Leving from Trois-Rivières in a 141.12. So really, really close finish between 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. A bit of a gap for Simon here as he took the win on this one. It'll be exciting to compare with the under 18 times when we do have those. There's a reason why those races are back to back. It's to give the coaches and the national team a bit of an assessment of how close the under 18 are to the senior level, as we can compare conditions a little bit. Today is fairly good conditions and fair conditions, so makes it a little bit easier for comparison as we go final to final.
And our next race will be the B final in men's senior K1 500 meter. These athletes are it's the B final, but it doesn't mean these athletes couldn't have made the A final. These are all amazing athletes. So again, really fierce fight to be had. So in lane 1 from Burloak, we have Jason Burkholder. In lane 2 from Rideau, we have Alexander Overek. In lane 3 from Lac-Beauport, we have Jérôme Desrosiers-MacArthur. In lane 4 from Richmond Hill, we have David Stewart. In lane 5 from Zenobie, we have Craig Johnson. In lane 6 from Burloak, we have Mitchell Barron. In lane 7 from Burloak, Cormac Adams. In lane 8 from Trois-Rivières, we have Nathan Connet. And in lane 9 from Bannock, we have Jack Hall. And they are already in their booth, ready to go and ready to fight it out.
Yeah, again, lots to prove here. Some of these athletes will have missed the A final by, tenths, thousandths of seconds. So really wanting to come in and really claim that 10th place in the senior men's K1 kind of ranking list as they go. So great start here from everyone. Looks, again, we spoke about this, some athletes choosing to go off the line a little bit harder as they try to establish a lead, and we'll hope to kind of hold that for the second half. Others hoping to kind of come through if they're not as strong starters when they hit kind of the last 200 and 250 meters.
Lane 6 from Burloak, Mitchell Barron. Lane 7 from
Once again, really strong stroke rate. You can see the athletes really trying to settle into that pace that Laurence was talking about. Powerful stroke, maximizing your glide as you're going through, especially as you approach here the last 250, the last 200 meters, and everything starts to hurt and you're starting to break down. So this race is really about keeping your composure, keeping your technique, and really able to find the line between going too hard, which is just trying too hard and starting to slow down, and going too slow and trying to conserve energy. So it's a really difficult balance to strike. And the best 500-meter athletes are just really impressive because they can push that limit more than others.
And we can see that it seems like lane 4 might be a little bit ahead, closely followed by lane 5. So lane 4 being David Stewart and lane 5 being Craig Johnson. These two athletes right now are fighting. I think lane 5 has taken actually the lead. They're fighting to win, and it's so close. This is amazing. Whoa, barely passed that line. But Craig Johnson came first, followed very, very closely by David Stewart from Richmond Hill. And sadly, I wasn't able to see who came in third, but we'll probably see it again with the finish line video. Yeah, that was a good comeback because halfway through the race, David Stewart was leading, and then Craig Johnson came back, and then lane 8, Nathan Koné made it in third place for the men's senior K1 500-meter B final. And these are the results from the U18 men's K1 500-meter A final. So we did have in first place Carson Corey from Burloak with a 144.9. In second place from Trois-Rivières, Jérémy Lance with a 145.4. And in third place from Cenobi, Alex Herritt Elwood with a 146.6.
Yeah, and as a comparison, the senior times, so Simon did a 138 and then all the way down to 143. So some of these athletes would have been very close to making the senior A final, your winners there. So exciting to see that level being close to making that senior A final there as we go. So we'll get ready to go here with the U18 B final, if I'm not mistaken, as we're going through kind of our next.
I believe it's the senior men's C final.
Gotcha. Thank you. So apologies for that. So the senior men's K1 C final will get underway, and then we have the start list here on your screen. So from Richmond Hill, Alexander Ivanov in lane 1, Aidan Dumont from Carleton Place in lane 2, Lucas Stein from Balmy Beach in lane 3, Mathieu Gilbert de Trois-Rivières in lane 4, and Cole Parsons from Binook in lane 5, Alessandro Busa from Rideau in lane 6, Nathan Daou de Pointe-Claire in lane 7, Spencer Robinson from Rideau in lane 8, and Carson Leslie from Micmac in lane 9.
All of them getting onto the starting line and making sure they are staying mentally focused. You cannot afford to look at your side views. So we do have the results from the previous race, the men's senior B final. It was in first place Cenobi Craig Johnson with 142.1. Second place from Richmond Hill David Stewart with 142.5, so super close. And in third place Nathan Koné from Trois-Rivières with a 143.8. These very, very good times, even for the B final. They could have done really well in the A final.
And the athletes are in the starting blocks here, getting ready for the start in the senior C final. And we're just about to get underway here in the 500 meters.
Pretty good start from lane 9. Seems like he's had a very, very strong Carson Leslie. Very strong start there.
Lane 3, couloir 3, Balmy Beach, Lucas Stein. Lane 4, couloir 4, Trois-Rivières, Mathieu Gilbert. Lane 5,
And you can see some of the middle lanes choosing to extend their start a little bit. The rate is still a little bit higher, hasn't kind of come down to settle. Either that's really a strong belief that they're really fit, can push through, or really attacking the first half and hoping they can kind of survive the second half when the pain will come really quickly. So athletes approaching the midway point here, we can see a little bit of a distance getting created for some of the athletes. Look like on the outside actually having a really good race in lane 1, but the middle lanes here, lane 5 taking a bit of a lead over lane 4 as we cross the last 200 meters of this race.
And as you said earlier, lots of lactate acid coming into their arms and legs right as we speak. So it's very difficult, even though your race plan is to finish strong. If you don't have the energy, or if your arms are too heavy to push until the end, you might be unable to actually do what you want. So right now, it's a battle between mind and body to finish as strong as they started. And it seems like lane 5 is still up ahead. We'll see very shortly, or not. Lane 5 lane 5, 2, and 4 in that order. So lane 5 being Cole Parson, lane 2 being Aidan Dumont, and lane 4 being Mathieu Gilbert.
And we can see this slow motion here, just really powerful strokes all the way through from Cole Parsons here as he's closing the win. But yeah, strong finish here from lane 2 from Aidan Dumont, who really came through in the second half of this race to make up a few positions and take second place.
And Cole Parson can be really proud of his race because he started strong, kept on his own terms. He didn't slow down, just kept on the whole way and finished super good battle, good strokes, and it was amazing to see.
Yeah, and we should have the results here soon for this senior men's C final. Before we go back to the U18 men's K1 500 meters for the next final coming down the list as we are getting ready to go. That will be the B final for the U18 men's K1, followed by C, D, E, and F final. So we'll have a number of U18 men's K1 final. Great to see so many athletes here. It means that really everyone gets a good race against people of their level and an ability to kind of test themselves on good conditions out there. Great to see depth in the national program as well, and a lot of club athletes that are looking to push towards maybe the Olympic hopes or even their provincial teams who are sometimes looking at these results to qualify athletes. So a good stepping stone for their summer as they'll head towards the national championships at the end of the year in Shawinigan in Quebec. So a great venue for these championships that will be coming later this summer.
Yeah, and even though not everyone might be gunning for the Olympic hopes or even the Junior World Championships, at least they're getting in a lot of very, very helpful experience, because our top athletes are not new to the course, not new to to paddling and racing. So it's important for young athletes to gain that experience on their own terms, and these trials are amazing for that. So for the C final for the B final in men's U18 K1 500 meter, we have in lane 1 from Mississauga, Graham Grant; in lane 2 from Rideau, Patrick Harrington; in lane 3 from Burloak, Devin Kinnaird; in lane 4 from Chima, Ben Jones; in lane 5 from Chima, Devin Joy; in lane 6 from Rideau, Victor Savulescu; in lane 7 from Carlton Place, we have Dylan Redwood Wheeler; in lane 8 from Rideau, we have Thomas Beauregard; and in lane 9 from Falls Creek, we have Keegan Bateman.
And athletes are in the blocks here. You can see a wide array of boat designs. I think that's one of the coolest things that has kind of happened in the last probably 10 years is Nello kind of allowed athletes to design their own boats. It brought a lot of creativity to the sport. So great to see designs that can be a bit more personalized with the boats. But we're underway here in this B final of the U18 men's K1 500 meters. should be an exciting and really close one. Again, as we said before, some of these athletes very, very close to making the A final in the U18 category, so they'll want to prove themselves here to be amongst the top and the best of the under 18 category.
Shortly coming on to the last half of the race, so last 250 of the race, and it seems like we might have lane 5 in the lead right now. Hard to say, but yeah, he looks like he's taking a slight lead over the others. So lane 5 being Devin Joy from Chima, and oh, well, actually, we also have lane 1 that I couldn't see on the far side, and lane 9 still very close. So lane 1, Green Grants, and lane 9, Keegan Bateman. So these 3 athletes, lane 1, 5, and 9, are right now fighting for first place, and they probably can't even see each other. So it's a lot about doing their best, not even knowing that someone else is close. So it could be a surprise for them, or it depends. I don't even think they can see each other right now.
Yeah, and a great push from lane 3 here in the second half of this race coming through. Yes, they're looking like they might take this one home.
Wow, such a strong finish. So much difference from a halfway race and right now. So yeah, we do have lane 1. Lane 3, 1, and 5. Lane 3 did take first place with Burloak, Devin Kinnaird. And I'm not sure between Green Grant in lane 1 or Chima's Devin Joy in lane 5 who came second and third. Yeah, 3, 1, and 5. Amazing race and amazing finish from Devin Kinnaird. That was such a strong finish. And we do have the results for the C final men's senior K1 500 that was just finished previously. In first place, we had Bannock's Cole Parsons with a 143.9. In second place, from Carleton Place, we had Ada Dumont with a 144.8. And in third place, from Trois-Rivières, we had Mathieu Gilbert with a 145.9.
Yeah, again, really, really close racing. If we look between the senior in the C final, Aiden Dumont being in the C final, being really close to top 5 in the B final of the senior men's. So it shows you how close some of these races are and how important those semifinals are, and it makes a really big difference where you end up in each of the finals. So really, really exciting to see all the athletes being so close. And we'll get ready here in the C final for the under 18 men's K1 500. Pardon me. In lane 1, we'll have William Kuiman from Chima. In lane 2, Sam Paquette from Carleton Place. In lane 3, Ryan Naroditsky from Rideau. In lane 4, I'm one over. Sorry, that was in lane 4 from Rideau. In lane 5, Nicholas LaHaye from Wascana. In lane 6, Adam Johnson from Balmy Beach. In lane 7, William Jennings from Maspa. Lane 8, Harris Hunter from Kamloops. And in lane 9, Adam Vetter from Falls Creek. And then I forgot to name Quinlan Kane in lane 1 from Calgary. So apologies, my app was a little bit off by 1 as we were getting ready to go. But should be an exciting race against lane 1 is on your far side, lane 9 closest to us, as you're trying to get oriented here from the Olympic Basin in Montreal.
Everyone with the tailwind right now, trying to keep their boat straight, trying not to get pushed to the side of their booth. So can be a little bit difficult if you don't have enough experience with that. But they seem to be doing fine. And start is given. Seems like everyone is having a really, really good start. We'll need to see more, but athletes are really, really pushing the pace. You can see some athletes stroking super fast, and as long as they're able to hold it, that's amazing. That's really, really good. seems like maybe lane 5 might be in slight lead from what we could see. Very difficult with angles.
Yeah, it looks like lane 5, and on the outside, actually, lane 7 and 8 also having a really strong race. Actually, 7, 8, and 9 looks like they're pushing the pace here in the first half. So should be an exciting race here as we're coming through midway point in this race, the C final of the under 18 men's K1 500 meters.
And we may have also lane 4. Seems like lane 5 slowed down a bit, and lane 4 took the lead, with lane 2 being very close behind. And these athletes, they can come back, or they can be really tired. But now it seems like lane 4 really decided to push and try to get that first place. And it's now or never. The finish is happening right now, and you can see stroke is high, power is trying to stay really push, and they're doing their best, and it's amazing to see.
Yeah, really strong finish here. Should be a really close one. Looks like lane 4 may have gotten this, but after that, really tight for that second place as we're coming through the finish line.
4, 3, and 2
finish,
from what we could see.
Yeah, really good finish. Doesn't look too lanely out there. We do see a few athletes kind of coming in from lane 1 into race over race, but it's a fairly straight win, so no lane advantage from what we can see here from onshore in this 500 meter kind of distance and in this opening of the win. So should fairly consistent and fair racing out there.
And we do have the results from the previous race. So the B final for men's K1 500 meter U18. In first place, we had from Burloak, Devin Kinnaird with a 149.0. In the second place, from Mississauga, we had Grant with a 149.7. And in third place, from Chima, we had Devin Joy with a 149.9. So very short, everyone between the top 3 between 1 second. Pretty short top 3. Very impressive.
Yeah, and we're getting ready to go here in the D final of the under 18 men's K1 500 meters. As the athletes are starting to make their way towards the start line, we'll have in lane 1 Nicolas Lepierre from Micmac, in lane 2 Frédéric Bret de La Chine, in lane 3 Quintil Newells from Kamloops, in lane 4 Marco Radovic from False Creek, in lane 5 Enric Nushpiel from Rideau, in lane 6 Conrad Hugerboord from Chima, in lane 7 Bryant Kellaway from Ridge, in lane 8 Luke Enns from Toba, and in lane 9 Nicholas Karigi from False Creek. So great distribution of athletes here, seeing a number of athletes from out west and out east, so all across Canada from all the clubs. So amazing to see most clubs sending athletes to these national team trials and showing that the elite programs in all those clubs is alive and well, and that all those athletes are starting to vie for either a spot on various national teams or provincial teams as they're developing their skills and their speed, and then are showing up here at the national stage.
Some athletes, lane 7 and 9 right now, very eager to start this race. I used to do that a lot too. I would rather be first in my booth and not wait for the others and be last. So it's all a preference, and it's all about if you feel comfortable being in that booth for a little bit longer. But it's funny to see that some athletes are really, really eager to go.
We're getting ready to go here again. All the athletes in the boot waiting for the judge to give the start signal. You'll see all of them get ready in a minute. And then the start has just been given. So you see some athletes' reaction time right on point, and you can see them take a bit of a lead as they're heading down the course in this D final of the under 18 men's K1 500 meters.
Yeah. And interesting fact to mention, but most of these athletes in this race are wearing life jackets, meaning that they are under 15, if I'm not mistaken. Is that it, Pierre-Luc?
16, yeah, they're under
16?
16 with life jackets. Yeah.
So a lot of them, they're racing U18, but they are under 16. So very impressive to see them coming for these maybe first trials, but doing their best and being really good at it. So impressive to see, and I'm hoping that they're enjoying their weekend.
Yeah, that's typically when we start athletes in the junior category, like under 18 category, start to come up to trials. When you're turning 16 that year, that second year midget, or and then kind of making the leap to try to think about a more full-time training and wanting to see kind of how that pays off as you make your way towards national championships and international competition. So we're seeing athletes really start to show up to trials around that age based on their level and experience. But really great race that we have here unfolding from lane 6 here, really pulling down a show, but also lane 8 really coming out from the outside lane here as they're heading in the last few meters of this race.
Yeah, very solid throughout. Some athletes are trying to catch up, but it seems like, oh, well, actually, lane 8, 6, and 1 seem to have really have had a really good finish, and they made sure to stay in front. So in lane 8, it was Luke Enns. In lane 6, Conrad Ugerboard, and in lane 1, Nicolas Lapierre. Um, And in the meantime, we do have results from our previous race. Oh well, we'll watch this first, and I'll tell you the results right after. But yeah, so really good race, lane 8, 6, and 1. Very impressive second half of the race. So yeah, the results from the previous race. So men's K1 500 meter U18 C final. In first place, we had from Rito Ryan Naroditsky with a 149.8. In second place, we had from Carleton Place Sam Paquette with a 150.6. And in third place from Chima, we had William Koyman with a 151.3. And here we have them on the screen.
Yeah, so great to see. Again, we talked about athletes from all the various clubs. I think we had every division in this race. So great to see it. And kudos to all the club coaches that are, setting up training programs, yearly training programs, sometimes in smaller clubs with only a few athletes in the winter, sometimes in super large clubs that have a lot of resources. But great to see that those athletes are making their way to these events here and getting that exposure and that experience as they're kind of making choices to maybe stick to canoe kayak instead of hockey, or making other choices as they're heading a bit deeper in their career, and investing into time, effort, energy, and choosing to believe that they might be the next next Adam Van Couverden or the next Laurence or and all that as they're committing to the sport. So this is certainly one of the stepping stone and a good way to evaluate whether this is what you want to do for the next few years with your athletic endeavors.
And so we're coming on to our next race, the E-final in men's K1 500 meter U18. So in lane 1 from Mississauga, we have Andre Rocha. In lane 2 from Falls Creek, we have Rowan Davison. In lane 3 from Senobi, we have Benjamin Carew. In lane 4 from Chima, we have Sam Allison. In lane 5 from Calgary, we have Dawson Hutchinson. In lane 6 from Trois-Rivières, we have Jérémy Pelletier. In lane 7 from Masqua, we have Alastair Land. In lane 8 from Sherbrooke, we have Thomas Sinot. And in lane 9 from Shawinigan, we have Jacob Asselin.
Yeah, it should be an exciting one if they're already in the blocks. I think as we get deeper into the finals, again, which semifinal you were in really starts to make a huge difference. So we might see athletes that are, on the outside lanes that were just in a bit of a harder semi take the win here as we're going forward. So the win could come from any lanes as we're heading into these finals, and we're just about to get a start here in this race once the names come down and we get to see athletes paddle in this E final.
Course 149, finale 2, race 149 E-final.
And it looks like a really strong start from the middle lanes here. Lane 5 and 6 really taking it out, and same with lane 4, keeping their rate really high here off the line as they're trying to build a bit of a lead.
Lane 5 cross 9 Calgary Dawson Hutchison. Lane 6 cross 6 Olivier Jenny Petsy. Lane 7 cross 6 Maxwell Alistair Black. Lane 8 cross 8 Sherwood Thomasina. Lane 9 cross 9 Shawinigan Jacob Asmay.
Seems like lane 4 and 8 are fighting. I think 4 is in the lead, but 8 very close with lane 5. Yeah, 8 and 5 fighting for second and third place right now. But we're 200 meters away from the end, so anything can change. As always, nothing is done halfway through the race. It's only done at the finish line. So other athletes can come back and they'll try for sure. So let's keep watching and seeing who's gonna have the finish of their life.
Yeah, it does look like lane 4 is continuing to stretch that lead, but lane 5 not giving up and trying to catch up as they're going through. The rest of the field coming back here for potentially a third or fourth place finish. So it should be an exciting one as we're closing this E final here in the men's K1 under 18.
And you mentioned it earlier, lane 4, 5, and 8. You mentioned it earlier that to get to the finals, it depends on your semi, and it also depends, like it's all a matter of sometimes thousandth of a second or hundredth of a second. So it seems like some athletes here, they could have done amazing in another final, but they did amazing in this final, and it's really it was beautiful to see. Lane 4 was in control the whole way. So Sam Allison, really amazing race, followed by Dawson Hutchison and Thomas Sinat.
And we should have the results from this the previous race here, the D final, on your screen. So Luke Enns from Toba from lane 8 taking the win in a 150.28. Conrad Hugerboard from Chima in second place in a 151.26, and Nicholas Lapierre from Micmac in a 151.97. So again, close racing here for all the athletes on the line. We'll start to line up here for our last final of the under 18 men's K1 500 meter, the F final. We'll have in lane 1, Lakay Madsen from Saskatoon. In lane 2, Austin Bird from Pemberton. In lane 3, Andrew Hall from Chima. In lane 4, Owen McDonald from Masqua. In lane 5, Alexander Brodbeck from Pointe Claire. In lane 6, Mark Mancini from Pointe Claire. In lane 7, David LeBlanc from Sonobe. In lane 8, Benjamin Elder from Rideau. And in lane 9, Kate Levi from Chima. So again, this will be our last final from the under 18 men's K1 500 meters. After this race, stay tuned for the senior men's C1 500 meter final for the senior age category, and then the under 18 age category.
And it seems like we have the results for the E final in men's K1 500 meter U18. The E final. So in first place from Chima, we had Sam Allison with a 151.3. In second place, Dawson Hutchison from Calgary took the second place in 153.3, and Thomas Sinot from Sherbrooke took third place with a 154.0. So very these athletes are very promising, you know. Always they're younger, but I'm sure in the few next year we'll hear their names more and more.
And athletes are ready here for the F final, and we got to start. Looks like a really fast start from lane 6, actually, anticipating that one really well and making sure not to false start. But great start here as we're getting underway in this F final of the under 18 men's K1 500 meters. We've had almost an hour of men's K1 500 meter racing, so I hope at home you're now getting quite familiar with this and can pick up good technique from less than optimal technique as we're going through all of these. But great to see so many athletes on the water racing this event. It's a luxury really in Canada to have that many athletes racing, and in some of the other countries we would have been done a long time ago, and that's really a strength of our country and our club system. So great to see everyone out there and just having strong performances in fair conditions.
So it seems like lane 6, who had such a good start, is still somewhat in the lead, but there are others. I would say, I think lane 8 and maybe lane 2 are trying to fight for first place with him right now. Really, really close fight for first place with 200 meters left to do to the race. So really close race right now.
Yeah, really close race here from some of the outside lanes pushing through. Looks like lane 2 having a really good race in lane 6 and lane 8. So it should be a close finish here as we close this F final here in the under 18 men's K1 500.
Lane 2 seemed to have taken the lead, and lane 6 and 1 very, very close for second and third. But lane 6 had such a strong start, so he basically kept ahead pretty much the whole way. So very impressive race from him. So lane 2, second half of the race, really, really impressive. And then lane 1 and 6. Congratulations to our athletes. This was the last men's K1 500 meter race of the day. And we'll shortly have the results. They're not out yet, but we're getting on to our, like Pierre-Luc mentioned a little earlier, we're getting on to our senior men's C1 500 meter event, the A final, very, very shortly.
Yeah, and this should be a really exciting race. This race happened at the first set of trials in Dartmouth a few weeks ago, and was a really, really tight finish between some of these athletes. So everyone on the line again here. The only one missing is Connor, who stayed at home to continue training as he already secured his spot for the World Championship. So I'm sure he'll be watching this eagerly as all his teammates are lining up to get ready to race. Also absent is Craig Spence, who took the win yesterday in the men's C1000, getting ready for some C2 tomorrow, and thinking about qualification a little bit later. So should be an exciting race. We had some great results earlier in the heats and in the semifinals. So really excited to see what those guys can do out there.
As you mentioned, some athletes are deciding to skip some races to focus on their most likely chance of qualifying. So, for example, I believe Craig decided to focus maybe on the C2. He did do the 1,000 meter in C1 yesterday, but yes, today he's skipping, and it's all good. He's getting ready for those crew boats, and these are going to be so entertaining, and it's going to be a good show tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. And we do have the results of the F final of the under 18 men's K1, and they'll be on your screen now. So from lane 2, from the Pemberton Canoe Club, Austin Burt taking the win in a 152.4. And then from lane 1 from Saskatoon, Lakai Madsen in a 153.56. And then Mark Mancini from lane 6, racing for the Point Claire Canoe Club in a 153.77. So great to see the athletes here in the F final. And you can see now the canoers just arriving here to the start line. Again, lefts and rights, it's a fairly straight wind, so it shouldn't be an advantage for any sided paddlers out there. fair racing conditions. So expect a really fast start for some of these athletes. We have some extremely fast starters and some of the ones that are likely to have a little bit more endurance. So in lane 1, Andrew Billard from Masqua, lane 2, Matt O'Neill, lane 3, Foster Salpeter, lane 4, Tyler Laidlaw, lane 5, Idris Hunter. And in lane 6, we have Brett Himmelman, lane 7, Alex Planteur, lane 8, sorry, just going to pull this out, Edgar Dessy, and in lane 9, Edouard Beaumier.
Race 151.
And from what we could see, it seems like Alex Planter had a really, really good start. And also in lane 3, Foster Salpeter with the blue boat. Both athletes who can start fast. And Alex has a lot of, from what we could see, he has a lot of endurance. So we'll see if he's able to keep up the pace until the end.
Yeah,
Right
he led
now,
most of the way yesterday in the 1,000, and then got passed right at the end by Craig. But this a little bit shorter of a race. Again, looks like Alex has a really strong start, and same with the two Trois-Rivières athletes and down here as well. So yeah, really exciting race so far by some of these athletes as we're getting to the last 200 meters. Looks like Alex has a slight lead over Tyler, but Tyler is coming back and pushing this hard.
And as we mentioned earlier, right now they're trying to have the most efficient, the most powerful stroke. You can see like Alex, he's pretty easy to spot with the black and yellow boat. Such efficient strokes, like every stroke matters, and that's what happens right now. That's what is going on. And you can see also Taylor Laidlaw in the orange boat. These athletes are really, really pushing, trying to get on to that first step of the podium, because this is the final, the senior men's final, so very important for qualifications. And it seems like Taylor had such a good finish that he took first place, followed by Alex and Andrew Billard in lane 1 from Masqua.
Yeah, Andrew recovering for a little bit of almost a disaster this morning in the heats when his tee actually twisted on his paddle and then almost fell in, but managed to finish the race and then go through qualification, and then now racing on the outside lane, so coming in third place. But strong performance from Tyler here, coming back, because as you said, Alex had a really strong start. Tyler's a really strong 500-meter athlete and always has been, so great to see him here pull together a win as he went through the second half of that race, and really had energy there to pick up the stroke in the last little while. So kudos to him. Great win here.
Yeah, and these gentlemen also, it's like I mentioned with the men's K1, it's very similar. This is a distance they're not used to race. So some athletes who are really good on the 1,000 can be surprised by a 500 meter, and some athletes who are better in the 200 meter, same thing. They can be very surprised by how the second half of the 500 meter can be difficult. So it seems like Taylor Laidlaw had such a strong finish. He really had an amazing half second of the race, and he was able to take a lead with that, because of that. So amazing to see.
Yeah, and we should expect fast times here. Again, fast conditions out there, so it should be exciting to see how fast those athletes were able to go today in their 500 meters. We know that some of them have been able to go really fast in the past, so excited to see. But while we wait for those, we can see athletes coming up and lining out now for the under 18 men's C1 500-meter final. Again, Junior Worlds on the line, selections for Olympic hopes, and a number of things. So really exciting race coming down. A number of athletes coming back from the 1,000-meter final from yesterday. So in lane 1, we have Nicholas Shirokov from Mississauga. In lane 2, Victor Hardy du Lac Beauport. In lane 3, Émile Bouvier de Pointe-Claire. In lane 4, Zachary Kralik from Mississauga. In lane 5, Austin Pigeon from South Niagara. In lane 6, Peter Bradley from Rideau. In lane 7, Iliot Arnautovic from Pointe-Claire. In lane 8, Nikita Chudin from Calgary. And in lane 9, Eric Chouinard from Micmac. So Peter Bradley, your winner from the 1,000-meter yesterday in a quick time. So it should be exciting to see if his endurance can translate to a 500-meter speed as we're going and getting ready here for this A final of the under 18 men's C1 500 meters.
really good start from everyone. Such big and strong, fast strokes happening right now. And we can see the start. They're really just trying to get up ahead, and as soon as they're confident that they have done pick sorry as soon as they are confident that they have picked up enough speed, they can get on some more efficient strokes, which they are doing right now. And it seems like on the far left of our screen, lane 2 seemed to be a little bit ahead, and lane, I believe, 5 and 6 are also pretty close. But yeah, it's hard sometimes with the angle to say who's and who's. But yes, so lane 2 and maybe 5 and 6 are fighting right now.
Yeah, really, really strong start from. I think this is a very tight race, like coming in through the
Oh
middle. It looks
boy.
like lane 2 on the outside is actually pulling this out from really far and taking a boat and a half lead on top of the field. We'll see if he can kind of hold on in the second half here. We know some of these athletes have really good endurance in the second half, so we'll just see if he went out a bit too hard. But looking at Peter Bradley in lane 6 here, trying to really pull a strong finish. His rate just went up as he's trying to catch the leader here in lane 2. So should be an exciting finish as we're coming down the last 100 meters. And again, strong race from, lane 3, 4, 5, 9. And so again, the last 100 meters is going to be a painful one as athletes are coming through. But looks like the wheels might be coming off lane 2 a little bit, but he just picked it up again. So very, very close for that win here as we're coming up to the line. Oh, man. Close to call.
Yeah. Oh, did he pass? I think he passed the line. I think he passed the yellow line. Hard to say, but yeah, Peter Bradley with the finish, taking first place. And I'll just say, Victor Hardy had a really strong race, but with experience, I can tell you the last 100 meter, if you went just a little bit too hard in the first half of the race, the last 100 meter can be so painful for your arms and your legs that I wouldn't be surprised if he was just trying to survive until the end of the race. And sometimes sadly, it can happen that someone who has more energy just picks up just a little bit more than you did. So I don't know if he passed. Actually, we'll need to check with them, because I believe the person has to pass themselves, not only the boat, but they have to pass the line with their body still in the boat. I don't know. We'll need to check in the results.
Yeah, we'll leave that one with the officials to make the call
Yeah.
as we go through, but certainly a strong finish. Should be okay, but let's wait for confirmation. And we're still awaiting the results from the men's C1 500 senior men's, but they actually just came in just now, so super fast times. Tyler Laidlaw taking the win from Sakawa in a 149.0, so breaking that 150. That's really impressive for those athletes. Alex Plomter coming in second place in a 150.1, and in third place Andrew Billard in a 150.6. So very, very competitive 500-meter final for those athletes there, and should be exciting for the rest of the year as those athletes are getting ready to compete at the World Championships that will take place in Dartmouth and Nova Scotia at the start of August. So we'll wait for confirmation of the results for the under 18 C1 500 final. Again, just waiting to make sure Peter has crossed the line here and that everything's okay. But really strong and good fight between himself and Victor Hardy from Lac Beauport for those two spots on the podium. In the meantime, we'll get ready for the B final of the senior men's 500 C1. In lane 1, we'll have Max Hong from Carleton Place. In lane 2, Frédéric Allais de Trois-Rivières. In lane 3, Kieran Graham from Rideau. In lane 4, Dylan Schroeder from Mississauga. In lane 5, Lucas Stringer from Mississauga. Lane 6, Nick Barrett from Sonobe. Lane 7, Adam Nagy from Richmond Hill. And in lane 8, Florian Hasker-Herrer. Sorry, Florian, if I messed that up, from Toba. Getting ready to go. I think actually lane 9 might be missing here as we're getting ready to go, so hopefully able to make the start and there's no issue with the heat or injury. But it looks like the athletes are getting ready to go, and we may go without him.
Yeah, it's Yeah, it's very sad that it happens, but if the athlete is not in the zone of the start, when the officials are ready to start the race, they miss the race, and it's very very sad because no one wants to miss it for any reason. But it happens, and hopefully the athlete is healthy and safe. It's not because of a physical problem. I hope not. So yeah, I hope he's doing well. But yeah, so right now the race is on the way. The athletes had a pretty good start. Seems like maybe um, lane 6 and 5 and maybe 3. No, 2. Sorry, lane 2, 6 and 5 maybe. Um, but hard to say with the angle sometimes.
Yeah, it looks like as we're approaching the 200 meter or 250, it looks like lane 5 and 6, actually lane 6 might be pulling ahead a little bit. Nick Barrett had a similar race yesterday in the 1,000 meter, having a really strong B final. But yeah, it looks to be between lane 4, 5, and 6 as we're kind of entering the second half of this race for the top spot on the podium here. Or I guess 10th place, I should say, in the senior men's category. We see some rates really coming up here. Some of the athletes, again, the two Mississauga boys in the middle, fighting amongst themselves as well as they're trying to take the win here.
And I think we're seeing also lane 3 picking up the pace, trying to catch up with everyone. And it's really important at this point. They don't want to leave anyone go in front, right? They want to push and follow and make sure that they don't get behind. But it's such a close race, and lane 3 did amazing finish to get a first place, followed by 4 and 5. So lane 3 was Kieran Graham, lane 4 Dylan Schroeder, and lane 5 Lucas Stringer. So these guys really pushed, and amazing finish from Kieran, getting into that first place.
Yeah, maybe a bit of a Rito strategy here from those guys. 2 in a row from Peter previously, and then Kieran here coming from behind in the second half to take the win. But you can see just a rate a little bit higher, a little bit more glide as he was coming through. So just saved a bit more energy to pass those athletes in the last few hundred meters. So really exciting finish and close finish for those as we get a nice shot of Nick Barrett here just finishing after his race. We do have confirmation of the under. Yeah, go ahead, Laurence.
Sorry. And talking about Peter, you just mentioned him. We do have the confirmation for the A final in men's U18 C1 500 meter, and Peter did get first place from Rito with a 153.9, followed by Lac-Beauport Victor Hardy with a 154.4, and Zachary Kralik from Mississauga with a 156.1 in third place. And on to the next race. Our next race is men's C final. Okay. Are we on to the B final of men's U18?
Yeah.
I believe so. Okay, sorry. So in lane 1 from Mississauga, we have Mark Vucina. In lane 2 from Mississauga, we have Grayson Schroeder. In lane 3 from Masqua, we have Seamus Codemas. In lane 4 from Kamloops, we have Sebastian Solomonson. In lane 5 from Sinobi, we have Jay Paliwal. In lane 6 from Mississauga, we have Jake Chambers. In lane 7 from Rito, we have Stuart Bradley. In lane 8 from Mississauga, we have Matthew Sampson. And in lane 9 from Masqua, we have Aiden Martel.
Yeah, so great to, just as a call out, as we were calling out the results in this under 18 men's final, great to see that every single athlete under 2 minutes. So good depth of field in the under 18 and category for men's C1 in the A final. Good conditions out there, but nevertheless, you still have to be able to do it when it's fast out there. So getting ready to go here in this B final of the under 18 men's C1 500 meters. All the athletes are in the booth and getting ready to go.
I'll be honest, I always find it very funny when I see one of my old boats on the start line and I'm not in it. As we can
I,
see, lane
I think
7
there
used
might
to
be
be my
two
boat.
on this line, Laurence, as well. There
Are
might be
there?
another one.
Probably.
Yeah, I think Seamus has one of your boats as well,
Oh,
out
he
on
does too.
in
Yeah,
lane
yeah.
three.
There's two
Yeah.
of mine.
Optimal
Oh,
average
boy.
gain
Sorry.
grade
Reminiscing.
1.4
Wow, lane 6, such a
lane
strong
1
start
Martin Mississauga, Mark
from
Cucina.
yeah, lane
Lane
6.
2
He's going
Mississauga,
there.
Basin Bleu. Lane 3 Toronto, Mascot, Siemens Ultimus. Lane
Yeah,
4
Jack Chambers from
Montreal,
Mississauga just having a good start here, as you'd expect,
Lane 5
from one of the middle lanes here.
Montreal,
Some of these athletes really close to
Montreal.
making that A final, so it should be a really exciting one as we're coming through. Um, Again, we'll see if a few of them can get under that 2 minute mark and kind of be really close to those A final times. Fast times out there on the Olympic Basin today. A bit of a tailwind, fair tailwind, very hot, so the water has had time to warm up over the month of June. So fast conditions out there, and great to see how fast those athletes can go.
And
Looks to
fighting with
be,
lane 4's, sorry,
yeah.
fighting
I
with
was going to say lane
Sebastian's
four.
Simonson.
Yeah,
Sorry, go
it's a
ahead.
really good race so far. 4 and 6 as they're crossing the 200, and then Jay from Canoe also trying to really raise his stroke rate here to see if he can catch up with the leaders in the second half. But looks like lane 6 has started to accelerate a little bit more, but tough strokes as they're going through, and then the pain and the fatigue starts to kick in a little bit. But should be a good finish as they're coming through here the last 100 meters.
And Sebastian Solomonson and still Jack Chambers, lane 4 and 6, doing their best to keep their strongest. But it seems like Jack Chambers still has more energy than the others and is having some really, really good strokes right now. And Sebastian trying to stay in second, amazing. And third goes to Jay Paliwal. So really good race. Impressive that Jack Chambers had so much energy. He was first on the off the line and first to the finish line. Really good race.
Yeah, great race, and you can see this like just strong strokes, keeping his exit really clean as you're coming through. It's easy to want to just start falling back and kind of taking longer strokes and slowing down the rate and just cheating a little bit. But good technique here all the way through the end, and that got him the win today.
And when we say that the athletes start getting lactate acid and in their arms and their legs, what can happen is that athletes, they tend to have shorter strokes, so their arms are closer. I call it the T-Rex paddling. So they have really tight arms, so their strokes are shorter, and their legs, they tend to sit back more instead of staying very forward in the boat. So sometimes you'll see someone almost sitting back on their back leg, on their foot behind them. So it's really important that they stay forward and solid in the water, and not to let the fatigue win. Um, On to our next race. It is the C final for men's C1 500 meter U18. We can see them getting closer to the line. In the lane 1, we have from Lac Beauport Olivier Thériault. In lane 2, from Cenobi, we have Ethan Page. In lane 3, from Masqua, we have Alex Neves. In lane 4, from Carleton Place, we have Aidan Haynes. In lane 5, from Masqua, we have Alexander McNeil. In lane 6, from Otterburn, we have Etienne Yamash. In lane 7, from Richmond Hill, we have Conrad Morosky. In lane 8, from Cenobi, we have Duncan Giles. And in lane 9, from Saskatoon, we have Dominic Tarasov.
And as we wait for the athletes to come down to the start line, we do have the results from the senior men's C1 B final. The B final. Yeah, the B final. And then we did get confirmation of Jack Chambers taking the win here in a 158.8. Oh, sorry, that's the under 18B final. Apologies. And then Sebastian Solomonson came in second place in from Kamloops in a 2 minutes 0.9, and Jay Halliwell coming in third place in a 201.81. So great to see the winner of the B final also sneaking under 2 minutes. So 10 athletes under 18 going under 2 minutes today.
And I think we didn't mention the results for the B final in men's senior C1 500 neither. Like you mentioned, Kieran Graham from Rideau got first place in 156.0. Second place went to Dylan Schroeder from Mississauga with a 156.3. And third place went to Lucas Stringer from Mississauga with a 157.0.
And athletes just lining up here. Again, great designs from a number of these boats. Great to see that a number of plastics and Nellos still out there. The canoers seem to be favoring plastics a little bit more these days. It seems just for the sheer volume of them out there, but great to see the start here. And again, should be a close one in this C final. As we get underway here. So great start from some of the middle lanes. Looks like lane 5 had a really strong start alongside lane 6. But again, too early to call. We saw before athletes coming back in the second half and taking the win. So we'll have to wait and see how this one unfolds.
Lane 5 crossing Mascot Alexander McNeil. Lane 6 crosses Otterburn Etienne Yamash. Lane 7 crosses Richmond Hill Conrad Morofsky.
And this is also the last C1 event for men's of the day. So last race are younger athletes, but we are cheering for them. These are very impressive young athletes doing their best. Maybe in their first event, national event. Maybe, who knows? It happens sometimes. It's a good start. Trials. And it seems like we have in lane 4, 5, and 2 taking the lead right now, and fighting with 150 meters left to the race.
Yeah, lane 5 really extending, and 6 coming as well at the top of the front of the race. So the second half really changing things up as we're coming through. Again, lots of life jackets in this race, people that are under or 16 and under as they're racing through. Really building their skills as they're getting ready for hopefully a long career in canoe kayak. But as we're coming in the last 100, seeing some athletes try to make some moves, looking at athletes in lane 3 and in lane 7, really pushing the pace here as we're coming closer to the line. Same with lane 2, really pushing the pace as we're coming close. So close finish between a number of these athletes. And there we go, lane 7, geez. Tight finish as we're coming through here in this under 18 C final.
So impressive to see that the finish is not like someone far in front and everyone else like super far behind. No, everyone is very close to each other. Like top 5 all within a few meter of each other. And it's impressive because in the further finals, so we're in the last round right now, we could see a big difference between athletes, but we don't, and that means that these athletes are really good. They have a lot of potential, and we can see it right now. So I love seeing that.
Yeah, and we'll wait for the results on this one. We will have a bit of a break before the women's K1 500 meter finals will get started. They will start at 3:55, so about 20 minutes from now. So we'll likely take a bit of a break before we come back, and then get those that second block of finals. So women's K1 500 followed by women's C1 200, and then finishing up with one of our para 200 meter final. But once we'll have the results, we'll call these out for you, and then we'll sign off for about 20 or 15 to 20 minutes before we get ready to do the second block of finals with you all this afternoon. So as we wait, Laurence, did you have a favorite race so far in this first block of finals. Anything that sticks out that you want to call out as a favorite moment of the day so far?
I'll honestly say I have a few favorite moments, but for me, it's seeing the athletes who came back from behind. Really, we have a few names we mentioned a few earlier. Uh, Athletes who you weren't expecting because out the halfway race they were maybe fourth or fifth, and they came back and won it all because they had such a strong second half of the race. I personally think it's my favorite because it shows that they followed their own race plan and they really had their everything was planned and they didn't move away from it. And that to me fills me with a lot of I'm amazed because this is what athletes need to do, and it just shows potential, and I love it.
Yeah, that's really exciting. Thanks, Laurence, for sharing that. So we do have the results from the C final of the under 18 men's C1. You can see on your screen. Really close race there for the two Masco athletes. So Alexander McNeil taking the win in a 204.24. Closely behind Alex Neves from Masco at 205.02. And then in third place from Otterburn, Etienne Gamache in 205.76. So we'll confirm the time. I see the athletes started to paddle up and everything, so we'll just make sure that we're back here when the final gets underway. And then we'll be back just before the next set of finals in a few minutes. So don't go anywhere. Exciting racing coming up your way. All right, welcome back, everyone, for the second set of national team trials here from the Olympic Basin. We're just getting ready to start our women's K1 500 meters set block of finals, followed by the women's C1 200-meter block of finals. So exciting racing coming your way in about 5 minutes here. Athletes are already kind of warming up and getting ready to go. You have a nice view here from the finish line as you're looking at the Olympic Basin here in Montreal. Really fair conditions and a nice tailwind that's quite fair for everybody. Not too laney here. Hot weather, about 31, 32 degrees with a lot of humidity. So athletes have been staying hydrated away from the sun and are now ready to go for their finals following heats and semis earlier today. So for you this afternoon, we're going to have this set of senior women's K1 and under 18 women's K1 finals. So we'll start with the A finals for both of those. Then we'll do the senior B and senior C finals. And then we'll do the U18 B, C, and D finals. And that will take us to about 4:40, at which time we'll start the senior women's C1 200 and the under 18 women's C1 200A finals. That will be followed by the B final and C finals for those events. And at 5:10 this afternoon, we'll finish the day with the Canoe Kayak 200-meter final. So should be an exciting afternoon of racing. We've had a chance to watch the men's C1 and the men's K1. And then to commentate, Laurence Vincent Lapointe is joining me here, Pierre-Luc Laliberté, to do this broadcast with you this afternoon. So welcome back, Laurence.
Hi, thank you. And you mentioned all the races, and sadly, I have to let everyone know that I need to leave around 4:30 or so because I have previous engagements. So because of that, I will be missing, I'm very sad to say, I will be missing all the women's C1 races in the last para-kayak race of the day. So very, very sad to be missing those because they're my personal favorite. I have a little bit of a bias on that, but I do have something to do right after, so I sadly cannot make it. But
all good.
Thank you, everyone.
I'll carry the stream as we go, yeah, and it will be good. And you'll join us tomorrow again as we're covering that one. So should be a good afternoon, and we'll get you back tomorrow if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. And thank you everyone for being back with us. As Pierre-Luc mentioned, we will be starting with the race, the women's senior K1 500-meter event. And this is, I'll just say, yesterday we had a little bit of a schedule problem where I almost missed the race. I could only call in the second half of the race. I'm very sorry about that. But no, today we're here and we will be watching the full race. And I will already call the lanes. Because the athletes we cannot see them right now because we're at the end of the basin, but at the 500 meter right now, they are currently getting ready to get on that starting line. So in lane 1 from Chima, we have Riley Melanson. In lane 2 from Rideau, we have Maren Bradley. In lane 3 from Masqua, we have Anna Negelik. In lane 4 from Rideau, we have Madeline Schmidt. In lane 5 from Chima, we have Michelle Russell. In lane 6 from Rideau, we have Natalie Davison. In lane 7 from Burloak, we have Lana Braid-Lahid. In lane 8 from Lac-Beauport, we have Madison McKenzie. And in lane 9 from Balmy Beach, we have Courtney Stott. Lots of amazing athletes. Lots of them went to either the World Cups this year or Olympic Games last year. So lots of really good athletes here on this starting line.
And winner from yesterday in the women's K1 500. So this is a repeat from yesterday. These women are racing this event twice for various reasons and selection reasons as they're going through. So we have a bit of a reference point to look to. Michelle Russell yesterday taking the win over Andriane Langlois in a really, really close battle. So Andriane sitting out this to get ready for K4 and K2 later this week. But it should be a really exciting race. A number of these athletes here are strong competitors, really talented in the tailwind. So we're expecting some really fast times as they're getting ready to go. So I can see them now taking their lanes at the 500 meters and starting to make their way towards the start line. So we'll get our camera crew up there switching us to the 500-meter start in just a minute so that you can catch that start with us as we get set to go here in the senior women's K1 500 meters. So here you can see, again, lane 1 on the far side and then lane 9 closest to us. So we saw the men's C1 comparable speed go fairly quickly just about 30 minutes ago. So it should be really exciting to see how fast these women's can go and if some of them can get close to low 150s or under 150 as we get set to go in this final.
And still really good conditions with a nice tailwind. And here, it's like ideal conditions for Montreal. This can be really, really fast. So like you mentioned, it's going to be, we can check afterwards the results compared to yesterday and see how that improved, or I believe that it will have improved because of the conditions. All right, the start is given. Everyone starting pretty much on the same line. No one having an amazing or really bad start, and it's very, very tight so far.
Yeah, and that's what we'd expect out of off the line here. All these women fairly comparable in terms of speed off the line. It's just a question of efficiency as they're going through. We'd expect Michelle to have a really good start, and then some of these other athletes, and we'll kind of come back. We're thinking of Maddie Schmidt here and others really fit in the second half of the race. So it should be an interesting race as we're going through here.
And Michelle Russell, like you mentioned, she is a great athlete and she has a lot of endurance. So usually 500 meter is one of her best descents. But we also have right now Natalie Davison, who's a little bit in the lead. And on the far left, the closest to us in lane 9, we also have Courtney Stott. So 3 really good athletes who well, everyone here is a really good athlete, but 3 athletes right now in the lead trying to get that first place.
Yeah, and looks like Michelle's making a bit of a push here in the second half. Courtney's a really strong finisher as well, came 3rd yesterday, so should be a really good push here as we're coming down in the last 100 meters. Let's see if Natalie can keep that rate up. It's starting to slow down a little bit. May have started a little bit too hard as she's coming through, but she's tough and will continue to push until the end. Maddie Schmidt in lane 4 also making a push as we're approaching the last few meters. And really strong push also from lane 1 here as we're coming through.
And Michelle taking a comfortable win with Maddie and Courtney Stott very, very close for 2nd and 3rd place. Hard to say who got it, but Michelle getting comfortable win there in lane 5.
Yeah, and that'll be 4 for 4 for Michelle in K1 500s this year from the 2 trials in Dartmouth and in Montreal as well. So close racing for these athletes.
We might need a little bit of a photo finish from between Maddie Schmidt, Madeline Schmidt and Courtney Stott in lane 4 and 9. Too tight to be able to see without photo finish, I believe.
Yeah, we'll likely have to wait a little bit for the results to be finalized here as they sort that one out. But we'll get ready and have the call for the under 18 women's K1 500 in the meantime. In lane 1, we'll have from Sonobe, Fiona O'Donnell. In lane 2, Ivy Murphy from Bannock. In lane 3, from Masqua, Rain Myers. In lane 4, Brianna Smith from Masqua. In lane 5, Florence Amel de la Chine. In lane 6, Eva Looper from Burloak. Lane 7, Callie Locke from Rideau. Lane 8, Molly Rusinac-Short from Sonobe. And in lane 9, Charlotte Bret de la Chine. So again, these women would have raced yesterday. Strong final yesterday from our Lachine paddler who took the win. So we'll look to see if they could pull a repeat here as they try to put down a good, strong performance for their qualification for the Junior World Championship. So this should be an exciting one again. It was really close yesterday, and I think we anticipate it to be really close again. So once again, if you're joining us, lane 1 on the far side, lane 9 closest to us, as you can see appearing on your screen. Lots of athletes here. The athletes have raced this yesterday, as I mentioned, the K1 500. This is a repeat event as they're going through, so they know where they stack against this field. It's really important to focus on themselves, their race plan, and really execute as much as possible. They'll be looking to tweak things that didn't necessarily work out as well as they wanted to yesterday, but not make a lot of changes here and just see if they can put their head down and have a good performance.
Really good start from all the athletes there. Lane 9 seems to have well, no, I say lane 9 because of the angle, sorry, but no, everyone seems to be having a really fast pace, trying to get up ahead before they settle into a more longer stroke but also more efficient paddling style. And honestly, really hard to say right now, but everyone's doing their best, and we'll see very soon who can separate themselves.
Lane 7, cross 6, Rideau, Calibox. Lane 8, cross 8, Snowy, Rawlings, Usmark, Short. Lane 9, from left, Lachine, Charlotte, ahead.
So as we're approaching the mid-race, really close race from the middle lanes here, lane 4 and 5 seems to be just a little bit ahead as we're coming through. So strong fight from those athletes. Should be a really strong finish as we're going through. And then open race really for third place between lane 9, lane 2, lane 4, and a few others. So it should be a tight race as we're coming through the second half. Looks like lane 6, Eva Looper, is just continuing to pull, maybe a little bit ahead here as we get to the last 100 meters. And really strong push from lane 2 here, actually making a push to try to get towards the front of this path.
And we can see we can hear a lot of families cheering for their athletes, and it's so fun to see people cheering for them. The lane 6, 4, and 2, like you mentioned, lane 2, Ivy Murphy did a really good comeback for the second half of the race, and she got in third place on the podium with that performance. So congratulations, very good race.
Yeah, it's a really strong race here. Our winner from yesterday not in this field today, so that is a small difference, but our winner here from Berlogue taking second place yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. So really strong back-to-back performances yesterday and today, and then taking the win here. So great to see. In the meantime, we do have the results for the senior women's K1 500 meters that just happened prior to this race. So Michelle Russell taking the win in a 150.8. So very close to that break in that as well. Second place, Courtney Stott taking the second by 0.05. So very close over Madeline Schmidt from Rideau. So exciting race here between the two of them. And then Natalie just coming in 0.5 behind. For a close top 4. So really exciting to see depth of field here in the senior final, and then a few others that are not racing today focusing on the K2. So exciting to see what the team can do a little bit later this summer at the World Championships. Congratulations.
And on to our next race, we have the B final for women's senior K1 500 meter. Our athletes are currently getting ready to get on the line. And in lane 1, we have from Ridge, Cassidy McPherson. In lane 2, from Masqua, we have Alexa Irvin. In lane 3, from Cenobi, we have Lily Baird. In lane 4, from Cenobi, we have Jessica Hogg. In lane 5, from Richmond Hill, we have Sarah Nagy. In lane 6 from Cenobi, we have Anna Mbongo. In lane 7 from Micmac, we have Grace Webby. In lane 8 from Richmond Hill, we have Brooklyn Woodhouse. And in lane 9 from Lachine, we have Ali Wong. All really good athletes who also did the same race yesterday. So it's going, it can change. We just saw it from one race to another. from one day to another. Some athletes might be more tired or less tired, so it can change. But hopefully, everyone is able to give the best they can today and really do a good race and that they can be proud of.
Yeah, in fast conditions out there, so a lot of the athletes likely thinking, okay, this is going to be a bit shorter. I can go off the line a little bit harder, maybe. So really excited to see if folks are going to change their race plan a little bit, tweak things to adjust to the conditions, and then maybe play to their strengths as they're going. So strong start here from all the athletes. Lane 7 really blasting off the line. So see if she's heading out really strong. But we know Grace is fairly strong off the line and coming from her 200-meter background. So it should be an interesting race as it unfolds here in the later stages of this 500.
Lane 2, courant 2, Black Squad, Alexa Irving. Lane 3, courant 3, Canoe Kayak. Lane 4, courant 4, Canoe Jessica Hart. Lane 5, courant 5.
So the athletes are now coming off after the first 100, really settling into their race pace, trying to maximize their glide and really just make sure that, as Laurence spoke about earlier, as much power as you can and making sure that you are in the maximum rhythm to maximize efficiency so that you're able to come through the entire distance and try to pick it up in the last half. So they're approaching halfway through the race. We can see a really strong race from a few of the athletes in the middle. Sarah Nagy looking to have a really strong performance, as well as whoever is in lane 3, Lily Barrett, having a good race as well, if I'm not mistaken, as we're going through. So strong race so far from some of these athletes, and then we'll see how the second half unfolds here. We've seen some changes in the past, athletes coming back, so get excited for an exciting finish.
And we saw Grace Webby having such a strong start. As we know, she's really, really strong in the first half. And in the second half, some athletes are more efficient and more endurant. So she needs to really keep up the pace, keep up the power if she wants to make it on the podium or even first place. Because, like we mentioned, Sarah Nagy in lane 5 and Lily Barrett in lane 3 are really caught up to her. Yeah. So Sarah Nagy first, Lily Barrett, and Grace Webby first, second, and third.
Yeah, great race by all of these athletes. Again, we expect some pretty fast times here, and close finish by all of them. Saw some push at the end, and good fight here from Sarah Nagy taking the win, and Lily right behind her. And close finish out there in lane 1 and 2 as well.
And talking about results, we do have the results for the U18 Women's K1 500 meter A final. So in the first place, we had from Berlog, Eva Luber with a 1:59.3. And in second place from Lachine, we had Florence Amel with a 2:00.16. And in third place from Bainook, we had Ivy Murphy with a 2:01.4. And the rest, I don't know if they are fully out. I don't have everything, all of them on my app.
Yeah, so we'll wait to see if you're seeing a few DNFs here in your app and on the screen. We'll get clarification for that as things go forward. I think we saw all the athletes cross the line, so it may just have been an issue on the results versus anything else. So don't panic. We'll get that sorted for you and get a bit more information a bit later. Okay, and then we'll get ready. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say we're getting ready for our senior or women's K1C final. So we'll have here in lane 1 Samantha Stein from Balmy Beach, in lane 2 Anna O'Brien from Sonobe, in lane 3 Emily Parsons from Bannock, in lane 4 Haley Plant from Balmy Beach, in lane 5 Erin Demopoulos from Mississauga, in lane 6 Christiane Free from Calgary, lane 7 Olivia Pucci from Rideau, lane 8 Katie Stewart from Richmond Hill, and in lane 9 Abigail Donaldson from Kamloops. So you can see the athletes now making their way down to the start line here at the 500 meters for the senior women's C final.
Our athletes getting settled in and in their booth, making sure they're ready. And the start will be very, very shortly given.
Again, just getting comfortable in the booth, and the start has been given now, so we can see athletes just trying to get that stroke rate as high as possible to gain as much boat speed as possible early, get into that comfortable rhythm once the boat has reached its top speed, and start transitioning into their race pace for the length of this 500. It's pretty quick after 50 to 100 meters that you've reached your top speed, so you want to transition at that point, not keep spinning and waste energy, because it actually won't give you a lot more speed after that point. So you want to really get into those long, powerful strokes and get into efficiency mode and targeting that optimal stroke rate, stroke length, and power that you put on the blade, so that you can get to the end of this race with a lot of power and control, and just play the fine line where you've given too much and you managed to break through all the way.
And it seems like the middle lanes right now, lane 4, 5, and 6, in the slight lead, maybe 4, a little bit of it, a little bit up ahead of everyone else. So Haley Plant with the pink boat right now in the lead, but there's 200 meters left to the race, so we might see other people trying to make a move and maybe catch up. So good luck to our athletes. Like, really push because the end is still a little bit away.
Yeah, and we know that Christiane Free and Aaron Demopoulos are a strong finisher. Looking also at lane 8, Katie Stewart from Richmond Hill having a strong finish. So should be a great race here. But Haley looks in control as she's entering the last 75 meters of this race. Should be a really close race for second and third, however, and fourth as we're coming through. So hold on to your seats, guys, as we're coming here.
Wow. Wow.
Tight finish here.
If I'm not mistaken, I think lane 8, Katie Stewart may have taken the second place, but it was so close. 3 from a second to fourth place, all in the same meter. Really, really, really close finish, and amazing race from Ailey, who got first place.
Yeah, nice technique here from Haley, just finishing up the race in control. But yeah, great lunge here by lane 8 to, I believe, take second place, but really, really close with lane 5. So we'll have to wait and see. As we wait for those results, we do have the results for the B final of the women's senior K1 500 meters. So in first place, we have Sarah Nagy from Richmond Hill clocking a 156.2. Second place, Lily Barrett coming in at 156.9 from Sonobe. And in third place, Grace Webby from Micmacan at 157.6. So really close race for all of these athletes here, and clocking some good times in the B final. And we'll just be ready to go here in the under 18 K1 500 meter B final, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, just confirming that. And then in lane 1, we'll have Sarah Gardine from Masqua. In lane 2, Megan Gallahue from Chima. In lane 3, Marie-Pierre Ali de Rachin. In lane 4, Amelia Frank from Pisiquid. In lane 5, Bridget Woodhouse from Richmond Hill. Lane 6, Maura McCumber from Masqua. Lane 7, Kelly Young from False Creek. Lane 8, Florence Croteau de Trois-Rivières. And in lane 9, Sydney Doidge from Balmy Beach. Again, should be a really exciting B final here. A number of these athletes really close together. We saw that in the semifinals earlier and yesterday. So it should be an exciting and fast one here in the under 18 B final.
our young athletes getting into their block, starting gates, and yeah, some athletes, some of them, well, no, actually, all of them racing both yesterday and today. So maybe a repeat of what happened yesterday, or maybe not. We'll see. Seems like a few of the lanes had a really good start. So lane 6, 8, and 9, from what I could see, had a very strong start. Uh, and the stroke rate is really really good. Like lane 6 is really trying to pick up that speed and get up ahead in front of the others.
Lane 5, cross lane, Richmond Hill, Bridget
Yeah, really exciting race so far. We can see the stroke rates are just settling in now. They're about 150 meters in, and then the efficiency will start to kick in, and you'll see the better paddlers start to distance themselves from the pack. Looks to be a strong race from late 6 and 7 so far, 5, 6, and 7. But don't count out 3 and 4 here as we're pushing the second half of this race. You can see the athlete
Seems like
passing the
lane
250. Yeah, lane 8 having a strong race as well, and actually in the lead. Good call out, Laurence. Lane 8 and then lane 6 and 4 and 7. Really close race here between a number of these athletes. That second half will be really important to kind of separate them apart. But lane 8 certainly in the lead as we're coming to the last 200. We'll see if she's able to extend that, or if she's given a bit too much too early.
Yeah, now towards this part of the race, it's more about age and experience, right? Young athletes have a lot of energy, but sometimes have a little bit less experience, and they tend to start a little bit too fast, or not push enough. That can also happen. Some athletes sometimes finish the race and feel like they haven't had the chance to give everything they wanted. But it seems like here we have athletes really pushing for the line, and it seems like lane 8, 4, and maybe 3 really difficult. We have almost a 3-way tie for third place. I'm curious to see who got that third place.
Yeah, really close finishing. Good to see from lane 4 some celebration. I'm not sure if she saw lane 8 out there, but certainly happy with the first or second as she crossed and celebrated and fist bump in the air. So great to see athletes celebrating after a good performance like that. As a heads up, if you were confused earlier about the few DNFs and kind of result issues that we had, it is fixed now if you want to have a look back. So no worries, no issues. Times are just now out, so wanted to call it out for you as that got resolved. So have a look back in the app, and you'll be able to see the results for those 3 athletes that had a weird DNF attached to their names.
Yeah, sometimes it's about the results. They're not fully in, and it's hard to maybe determine who got in first, and they need a little bit of photo finish. So if that happens, sometimes they take a little bit longer, and the results don't come out as quickly. So that may be what happened for that race, but it's all good now. And talking about results, we do have the results for the C final of women's senior K1 500 meter. Still in the first place, we had Ailey Plant from Balmy Beach with a 1:58.4 second. From Richmond Hill, we had Katie Stewart takes second place with a 1:59.7, and in third place we had Erin Demopolis from Mississauga with a 1:59.8. Really, if you can see all of them really close. Second and third place were within about 1/10 of a second.
And we're just about ready to go here in the C final of the under 18 women's K1 500. In lane 1 on the far side there, we'll have Wascana's Zoe Martin. In lane 2 from Trois-Rivières, Anaïs Lapointe. In lane 3, de la Chine, Béatrice Charbonneau-Morin. In lane 4 from Masqua, Mia Kakao Ewing. In lane 5 from Masqua, Zara Selikanat. In lane 6 from Chima, Shane McMillan. In lane 7 from Calgary, Lauren Rentz. In lane 8, Mathilde Patry de Trois-Rivières. And in lane 9 from False Creek, Chillian Helliwell. So once again, this is the C final of the under 18 women's K1 500 meters. And it looks like we may have had a bit of a false start here, so the judge will just pull them back. Lane 8 may have been a bit quick to get going, so we'll see if he keeps them in the booth or wants them to back up. But it looks like they'll just stick around and then get ready to go again.
And it's really important to make sure that if a false start happens, they do not want to have another false start happening, because people can get disqualified because of a false start. So it's really important that you respect the start and not get too quick onto the race. And talking about start, it seems like lane 8 did actually have a really, really good start with and also lane 3 in the red boat furthest away from us.
And yeah, strong race here as we're approaching the halfway point. Looks like lane 5 and 6 and 7, actually, and 8 and 9. It looks really tight, actually, as what I would call it
All
at this
them.
point. Yeah, all of them are basically even in a line. So we'll see once the camera pans out and there's a bit of distance between all of them. But yeah, strong race here for a number of these athletes. So hard to call this early in the race, but looks like lane 5 may have actually pulled in a little bit ahead, but lane 1 hanging in there and lane 9 as well. So tight race here as we're coming through the last 200 meters, but really high stroke rate here from lane 5, trying to pull some distance between herself and the rest of the field. And that is Zara Selikanat from Masqua having a really good first half and trying to carry that through for the win in the C final here.
And lane 5, as you mentioned, has taken a lead, but she needs to really make sure that those arms don't get tired too quickly, because if she wants to keep that lead, she needs those powerful strokes and that speed. So, and we can see some athletes trying to pick up a little bit the pace. Lane 4 trying to catch up onto lane 5. From the angle, it seems like lane 5 is still up ahead, but it can be pretty tight on the finish there. As we can see, yeah, lane 4 caught up a lot to lane 5, and then I believe lane 3 and 1 went for almost a tie on third place.
Yeah, really close finish here between all these athletes. Good job to Zara holding on from what looks to be the second half the entire way, but really strong push from lane 4. Probably a few more meters and they were making it back, and so close to call between lane 3 and lane 1. I won't try to call that one just yet. I think we'll see some very, very close times as we get the results confirmed here.
Me neither. I'm not gonna try it. But congratulations to Zara and Mia Kakao-Ewing for really doing a really strong comeback. Very impressive. And so we have the official results of this race. So from Masqua, Zara Selikana got first place with a 2:07.7, and second place went to Mia Kakao-Ewing with a 2:08.2, and then third place went to Zoe Martin from Westcana with a 2:09.0, and very close behind her, Beatrice Charbonneau-Morin from La Chine with a 2:09.1 in fourth place. As we said, so close that we can see it by eye.
Yeah, and we do have also the results of the B final just before that happened just before. So Florence Coteau from lane 8, we saw that win come through just a little bit before from Trois-Rivières, taking the win in a 2:04.3. Amelia Frank from Pisiquid in a 2:05.3 coming second, and Marie-Pierre Allais de la Chine coming in third place with a 2:06.1. So great race from these women as well. As we're getting ready to go here in the D final of the under 18 women's K1 500, we have in lane 1 Ali Krunik from Saskatoon. Lane 2 as actually scratched, so is not on the draw as we're going through. So Juliane Giroir. Lane 3, Karina Bidal from Pointe-Claire. Lane 4, Ariane Loisel from Cartierville. Lane 5, Kate Osborne from Rideau. lane 6, Jenna Weil from Masqua, lane 7, Leah Nagpal from Rideau, lane 8, Sierra Kelly, from Pisiquid, and in lane 9, Genevieve Griffin, the Cascade.
And this is the last race of women's kayak of the day, and it's already started. The ladies are pushing a really fast stroke from, I believe, lane 3 right now. Seem to be paddling so fast, so strong, and we'll see if that pays off.
Yeah, exciting race here again. I think all of these. I think the main thing with all of these finals, especially as we go from final A, B, C, D, is the good thing to know is you kind of race against people of your level. So it means close racing. It's a good experience. It's a good opportunity for you to test against athletes of the similar caliber, speed, and everything. So it makes for close racing. It makes for awesome racing for us watching at home. But it's also a great experience to compete and really kind of know where you stack up against the rest of the field nationally, and something that you can take home and work on all through the summer before you get to nationals. But really strong racing here as we get to the last few 100 meters, from seeing a strong performance from lane 6, lane 4, and then again, strong performance from lane 1s. We've seen lane 1s do pretty well all afternoon, not because it's laney or anything, just seems like some of those athletes have a bone to pick and want to prove that because they're on the outside doesn't mean they can't contend for the win.
And also, you mentioned it for them. It's fun that they are in a final where most of them are the same speed and strength. But it's also for trials for them. It's also meeting up with maybe their idols. I don't know. Maybe they wanted to see their mentors paddle in real life and race in real life instead of just international racing. And like you mentioned, lane 1 did a really good second half. So we had lane 4, lane 1, and then lane 7, I believe. 6, lane 6, I think.
Yeah, and we'll get confirmation of that here in the slow-mo. It's a really high stroke rate from lane 4 here, so you can see like those hands just really powering through and all through the line. Lane 1 stopping a bit early, but had that completely secured, and then lane 5, I believe, coming in, or 6, sorry, pardon me, coming in third place.
And so we have the results. No, we already told you the results for the previous race. They came out so quickly. We might have the results for this race pretty soon, but I might not be able to stay because as I told you earlier, I need to leave right about now. So I thank you all, everyone, for being there with us today. Well, for being here with me today, and I'll see you tomorrow. And I'm leaving you with Peel in very, very, very good hands for the rest, the remainder of the finals this afternoon. So thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, Laurence, and we'll speak with you tomorrow for the block of finals. And thanks for giving all your time for the commentating on the stream yesterday and today and through the weekend. So have a good evening.
Bye. Have a good evening. Bye.
All right, so we'll carry on. We do have a bit of a break. We'll wait for the results here from the last final of the women's K1 500. So the D final results are just pending. Oh, actually, they just came in. So we did have Ariane Loisel from Cartierville taking the win in a 208.3 from lane 4. Ali Krunick from Saskatoon from lane 1 taking second place in a 209.9, and then Jenna Weil from Masqua from lane 6. Taking third place in a 210.7. So great racing here from all of these women, closing the under 18 women's K1 500 meters for today. We will have a bit of a break now. We will be back at 4:40. So just about 10 minutes from now. So I'll stick around until we get started, and that will be for a change of distance. We'll actually move to the 200 meters for the women's C1 200. So we'll go through the senior final, the A final, and then the under 18 final. And then after that, we'll have the B final for the senior women's, followed by the B final for under 18, the C final for under 18. And then 10 minutes later, we'll have our last race of the day, which will be our para kayak 200 meter final. So a good set of exciting, fast-paced races. with all these 200-meter coming up. The athletes are just warming up now as we can see them come through. And you have a nice shot of the 200-meter start line now at the Olympic Basin here at the heart of Parc Jean-Drapeau in Montreal. Really fair weather, as you can see on your screen, a nice tailwind. And as the athletes are going up, no lane advantage today, left to right or anything like that, just some solid tailwind that makes really fast times as we're going through. We've already had some really fast times earlier from our athletes who have competed in their respective finals, from the men's C1, the women's K1, and the men's K1, all 500 meters. We also had some really fast time in our earlier finals in the para categories, in the VA and the VL1. So great results. If you're curious about how those turned out, you can check out the app and look at all the results. Those are made available very quickly post races, so you can follow at home or wherever you may be if you're interested in looking at the results from all your favorite athletes racing at the national team trials. Not yet the Olympic trials. We'll have those in 2024. So in just a little bit, we'll have the confirmation of those final results, which we've talked about already. But we'll have this senior women's C1 final. Should be a really exciting one here in the 200 meter. So about 9 minutes from now. We've had a really close battle yesterday in the 500 with these women, with Katie Vincent taking the win in a really fast time, and then a close race between two of the athletes after Sophia and JC, actually. So it should be a good battle. Those athletes racing today again. They were in good forms in the heats and the semis earlier, so we're expecting some close racing here in this 200 meter final. And while we wait for the races to get back underway, I just want to take a minute to thank our CKC partners, sponsors, and suppliers that you see on the screen: the Government of Canada, the Olympic and Paralympic Committee, and Own the Podium, all the various COPC network partners that we deal with, whether it's at the Atlantic Sports Center, the Institut National du Sport in Quebec, or all the other networks that we work with, whether it's CSIO or in Calgary or Pacific. Also want to thank Apogee, Nello, and Immediacy, who supply and help our team really have the right equipment or kind of share information with you through the various application websites and things that we have, Zizou Optics and Ramp Registration as well. So thanks to all of you making this event and really supporting the organization and the sport. Really appreciative for all your support and investment in Canoe Kayak. I also want to take a minute just to say thank you to all the volunteers that are part of this event and the behind the scenes making this happen. Thank to the camera crew and the live stream crew and all of that, the officials that are on the water, everyone just kind of bringing water to everyone because it's very hot here in Montreal, the officials and everyone involved. Just great to have a venue to be all back, and so many athletes have the chance to race this weekend because of all those people. So thank you very much, everyone, for giving some of your time to make that happen. So we'll run a few things, kind of a few commercials and things, and then we'll be back in a few minutes for the set of women's C1 200 meter final. So we'll be right back.
Even elite athletes need support to reach their goals. Pour aller plus loin que ceux et celles avant eux et pour laisser un sport meilleur à ceux et celles qui les suivront. Athletes Can represents members of Canada's senior national teams who compete at multi-sport and world championship events. Nous avons pour mission de parler d'une seule voix puissante en faveur d'un système sportif centré sur l'athlète, where athlete rights are respected, où les préoccupations des athlètes sont entendues et prises en compte, and where athletes influence key decisions made in Canada's sports system. Nous formons des athlètes leaders qui influencent les politiques du sport et inspirent une solide culture sportive. We're a safe and inclusive place to share your perspectives and concerns on the issues you care about. Et ensemble, nous suscitons et réalisons des changements. We were the first organization founded by national team athletes for athletes. Depuis, nous avons toujours été des leaders mondiaux en matière de représentation des athlètes. Join Athletes Can. Vous y êtes chez vous.
The song our paddles sing in the stillness tells the story of a country. It's a song born here that echoes through history. A note to distance, the unknown. We sweat, burn, push, and fight, not for money, glory, or accolades, because it reminds us of who we are. Screw loose daredevils and romantic obsessives, most ourselves in the rage and the whip and the whirl, or the reflective silence before the gun goes, and we know we're home.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Welcome back from commercial. So on Athletes Can before, and then great video there from CKC and everything. So just connecting sport and athletes, and this is really why we're all here. And some exciting finals coming our way in the women's C1 200 meters. We'll start again with the senior final, the A final, and then the under 18 A final. And then we'll have the B and C finals for those categories before we conclude the day with the para kayak final just after 5 o'clock. So stay tuned for about 5 or 6 races that we still have. Athletes are just now lining up above the 250 meters. You can see them actually in the distance on your screen. And this should be a fairly fast one. It's fast conditions here at the Olympic Basin. So we're expecting a quick one. In lane 1 for this senior women's C1 200 final, we have Jessica McKay from Masqua. In lane 2, we have Evie McDonald from Rideau. In lane 3, Anna Roissir du Lac Beauport. In lane 4, Sloane McKenzie from Chima. In lane 5, Sophia Jensen from Cascade. Lane 6, JC Grant from Chima. Lane 7, Conwanakaran Diabo from Onaki. Lane 8, Amelia Wojcik from Rideau. And then lane 9, Ava Carew from Sinobi. Again, you'll likely recognize some of these names. A number of these women have raced internationally, did really well in the 500 meter yesterday, but this 200 is the crown event for C1, given that it is the Olympic distance. I'm sure all of them here are trying to get on that Olympic team for Paris and thinking of how they can actually train really well over the next 2 years to beat Katie, who's kind of owned this event in the last year or so. And is actually the defending world champion in that race. So it should be an exciting race. We know that we have a lot of depth and a lot of potential in this event. So really, really looking forward for this one as we're getting ready to go here in about 2 minutes. So athletes are just making their way slowly down to the start line, 200 meters, high stroke rate, not a lot of margin for error. So it's a lot of pressure. And just it's over in a blink of an eye. So it should be a good race here for all of us to enjoy in a few minutes. So you can see here the shot from the start line. We'll wait for the start gates to pop up, and they'll come out between those orange buoys in just a minute. You'll see those kind of cone-shaped yellow blocks in which the athletes will bring their boats and put the nose of their boats in there, and that will ensure a fair and even starts. Even more crucial here in these 200s than in the 500 and the thousands that we saw over the last few days, given the length of this race is so short, and it's often decided in hundreds or thousands of a second. So those blocks are now out. We can see a shot from about the 100 meter. Those red buoys that you see on the screen are the 100 meter mark. So that tells you when they've reached halfway. We can see the athletes now making their way in. So lane 1 on the far side, lane 9 closest to us, if you want to reorient yourself a little bit. And then getting ready to go here as the athletes enter the starting block for this senior women's C1 A final. for the 200 meters. So it looks like all the athletes are in the booth now. It should be a fairly quick start, and you'll see some really, really high stroke rates. Our athletes are trying to gain a lot of speed in the first 25 to 50 meters before they extend their stroke and really try to create this through. But really strong start from Sophia Jensen here in lane 5 in the green boat in the middle. We know she's a strong starter. She's got a really, really powerful stroke. So we'll see how she carries through. But a strong start as well from JC Grant in lane 6. Really kind of newcomer on the scene at the senior level, but had a great 500 yesterday. Really high stroke rate as she's coming through. So see how that translates to the 200. It's like Sloane McKenzie also having a strong race from lane 4. And lane 2 actually coming through really strongly here. So should be a very tight finish as we're coming through the last few meters, but no doubt about the winner here, and Sophia Jensen taking it by a full boat, and then followed by lane 4, and it looks like close to call between lane 2 and lane 6. So we'll wait and get that confirmed. But great racing here by some of these women in the A final. As we can see here, lots of power by Sophia all the way through the end, and closing this one out. Then lane 4 coming in second, and then still a bit close between lane 2 and lane 6, but I think lane 2 may have edged that one out. So we'll wait to get the results here, but great race by all these women. We know this is a really deep field. Katie, Sophia did really well earlier this year at the World Cup in this event. So we know that winning here gives you a good understanding of how well you would be able to do internationally, competing at the best stage. So we'll wait for those results and we'll communicate those when they're ready. But in the meantime, the start list for the under 18 C1 200 meters. So in lane 1, we'll have Aja Dibol from Micmac. In lane 2, Zoe Wojcik from Rideau. In lane 3, Janina Winicky from Rideau. In lane 4, Julia Price from Rideau. In lane 5, Kesa Bleiler from False Creek. In lane 6, Elisabeth Desrosiers McArthur du Lac Beauport. In lane 7, Ruby Mole from Rideau. Lane 8, Mila Suyer from Rideau. And in lane 9, Abby Wojcik from Rideau. So lots of Rideau athletes in this one. We got 5 out of 9. So certainly something that they're used to. And so will be kind of pretty exciting, but known territory here as they line up every day on Mooney's Bay. So great to see so many athletes coming from that club in a strong program. We do have the results for the A final that were just confirmed. So really close race again. Sophia Jensen taking the win in a 46.1. Second place goes to Sloane McKenzie from Chima in a 47.4. Third place to Evie McDonald from Rideau in a 47.8. So great race from Evie here. A previous national team trials winner. Lane 6 came fourth, JC Grant from Chiba, and in lane 3, Anna Roissy in 5th place from Lac Beauport. So close race here for the top 5, depth of field here. So great to see in the senior women's C1 200 meter A final. So you're seeing the athletes here get close to the start line in the A final for the under 18 C1 200. Again, should be a really exciting one. Berth on the Junior World Championship team on the line. And this is, again, the crown event of the women's C1. So expect a fast one from these women. It'll be really exciting to compare where they would have stacked up against the senior athletes as well, because we know that we have a lot of really fast juniors that likely could do quite well in the senior race as well. Again, really fair conditions, seeing a good mix of lefts and rights today. So the weather not affecting kind of performance. We would expect really fast times as we're getting ready to go here as the athletes are making their way to the start gates. And it looks like we're just about to get going. All the athletes are in the start gates now. So the athlete is with the official. We'll expect a fairly fast start. Again, just trying to crank up that stroke rate and gain as much speed as possible early on, and then just carry that speed through with a lot of efficiencies through a full 200 meters. It's not quite a full all-out sprint. It's too long for that, so you have to be really efficient as you're going through, or else you'll cramp up after 100 meters and get past it at the end. So we have a start here, really fast start, really even start actually as we're going through. Seems like no one be getting left behind. As I said, high stroke rate. You can see that from lane 8 here, really, really high. Same with lane 6 here in the middle. But unfolding really quickly as the athletes are already halfway and really coming through quickly. As we're getting to about the 75-meter mark, you can see that it looks like lane 6 may have a slight lead, but also lane 2 out there on the outside having a really good race and coming strong here in the second half. And it'll be a really close race for the win here, but it looks like lane 6 might be just taking that, and then 7 and 2. Too close to call there for second place, but quite a close race. And then lane 1 going for a dip and a bit of a speed wobble there at the end of the race, and safety will get heard right after, but she looks okay and swimming and grabbing her boat, so no concern there post race. But let's see this finish really closely. So lane 6 just looks like she had it just under control and lunged at the right time, and lane 2 and 7, it'll be really close to call between those two as we're waiting for the results here. But tight race, and congratulations from lane 6. Elisabeth Desrosiers-McArthur taking the win here in this final. So we'll wait for the results here to confirm, but no doubt about the winner here, lane 6 on your screen from Lac Beauport. Really looked solid post-start, high stroke rate, but also just kept some good efficiency, some good glide, and managed to hold everybody off in the second half. So congratulations to Elisabeth taking the win here in the A final of the under 18 C1 200 meter. While we get the confirmation of the results, we are going to get underway in the B final of the women's C1 senior for this 200 meter. In lane 4, we'll have Tegan Tyrell from Mississauga. In lane 5, Anne-Sophie Lavoie-Parent de Trois-Rivières. In lane 6, Marley McIntosh from Masqua. And in lane 7, Maïka Nadeau de Lac Beauport. So only 4 athletes in this final. Should still be quite a high level as we're going through, and expect a good race here as the athletes are getting ready to line up about a minute or so for now for this B final. And it does look like, I know we're looking at the start line here for the B final of the senior women's C1, but we do have the result for the under 18 women's C1 200. So confirming the win here for Elisabeth Desrosiers-McArthur de Lac Beauport in a 49.5. Second place went to Rito's Ruby Mule in a 49.6. Rito's Zoe Wojcik took third place in a 49.694. So again, 0.015 separating second and third place here, as you can see, extremely close. And then 3 other Rito athletes coming right behind. So a really good Rito showing here in this B final. In this A final of the C1 200 meter under 18. So we're just getting ready to go here in the senior B final. Again, 4 athletes getting ready to and getting ready to go. So Tegan Tyrell in lane 4, Anne-Sophie Lavoie-Perrin in 5, Marley McIntosh in 6, and Maïka Nadeau in 7. So athletes are in the booth now, and we should expect a fairly quick start here as they get underway in this 200-meter final. And the start is given. Looks like a fairly even start, maybe a pretty quick start from Marley in lane 6, but Anne-Sophie has a really high stroke rate, as you can see in lane 5. So really starting to stretch a little bit more and get a little bit more efficiency in the second half. Marley, a marathon world champion in the past, so really good at long distance and able to carry some speed through long distance, and see how that applies here in the 200. Also seeing a strong race from lane 4, and Tegan Tyrell just really coming through and having some powerful strokes as she's coming through the last 50 meters of this race. She may have about a nose in front of the other competitors, but Anne-Sophie really powering through the last few meters here and trying to close the gap as she's coming. Should be a close finish between those 3, but looks like Tegan Tyrell, then Anne-Sophie, then Marley for the top 3 of this B final in the senior women's C1 200 meters. You can see just in slow motion, just some really powerful strokes. And Sophie was giving it everything she could with some higher stroke rate than some of the other girls, but just not quite enough to catch up to Tegan Tyrell, who had a great race here from the Mississauga Canoe Club. So we'll wait for the times as we can see Tegan and Sophie making their way to boat control here, as all boats from this race were called to weigh the boats and just confirm that they had the proper weight for this final. But we'll get ready to start the B final of the under 18 women's C1 200. So in that race for lane 1, we'll have Rito's Mackenzie Haynes, and lane 2, Amy Pigeon from South Niagara. In lane 3, Veronica So from False Creek. In lane 4, Jaden Kenziora from Masqua. In lane 5, Erika Dion du Lac Beauport. In lane 6, Sarah Neville from Micmac. In lane 7, Charlotte Dessy du Lac Beauport. In lane 8, Maïka Saint-Yves de Trois-Rivières. And in lane 9, Alexia Gagnon du Lac Beauport. Once again, the under 18 C1 200 B final that you see the start list on your screen at the moment. We'll have that race in about 2 to 3 minutes for you as we're rounding out the day here at the Olympic Basin. While we watch the athlete make their way down, we do have confirmation of the results for the previous race, the senior women's C1 200-meter B final. So Tegan Tyrell from Mississauga did take the win in a 51.0, followed by Anne-Sophie Lavoie-Perrin in a 51.4, and Marley McIntosh from Masqua in a 51.8. So congratulations to all the athletes here putting down good times in the B final of the senior women's C1 200. So athletes are making their way now down to the start line. You can see they're between the 250 and the 200. They'll make their way down to the start gates, and then the official will take control of the race and ensure that we have a fair start for this B final of the under 18 C1 200. Great representation here for a number of clubs across the country, from Nova Scotia all the way to BC. So great to see some club programs that are producing athletes in the women's C1 category, but really all through the different races that we've had this weekend. So thanks to all the coaches that work so hard to make these programs work all year round, and all the volunteers that make those club run across the country. So we have about a minute to go here before the start of this race. Again, in lane 1, Mackenzie Haynes from Rideau. In lane 2, Amy Pigeon from South Niagara. In lane 3, Veronica So from False Creek. In lane 4, Jaded Kenziora from Masqua. Lane 5, Erika Dion de Lac Beauport. Lane 6, Sarah Neville from Micmac. Lane 7, Charlotte Dessy du Lac Beauport. Lane 8, Maïka Saint-Yves de Trois-Rivières. And in lane 9, Alexia Gagnon du Lac Beauport. And it looks like we're just about to get underway as the athletes have entered the start gates and are now ready for the start. And we have a start in the women's C1 200 meter B final. Looks to be a fairly even start here across the board. Again, very quick race as you're seeing that stroke rate increase extremely fast for this 200. Want to gain a lot of speed very quickly and transition to some long, powerful strokes and maximize some efficiency for the second half. They're entering about the 100 meters in a few strokes now. You can see those red buoys on the course as we're coming through. But really tight race so far. It does look like lane 9 is having a great race here, but also lane 3 really pushing ahead. Strong rate, staying upright, having a lot of power. So we'll see if she can carry that all the way to the end. But having a really strong performance is lane 3 here from Veronica So from False Creek. And looks like she might be able to take this all the way. So 3 followed by 4. Jade and Kenzie-Ora come in there in second place, and then we'll wait to confirm third place. But great race from False Creek's, the athlete from False Creek here. Yeah, no doubt about lane 3 and 4, but then pretty close for third place. Looks like lane 9 may have gotten there. And that's Alexia Gagnon du Lac Beauport. So close racing here in the B final of the women's C1 200 meters. So we'll wait for confirmation of those results. Again, very close. We're expecting some fairly fast times as it's quite nice weather here at the Olympic Basin today. A nice tailwind, not too strong as you can see on the screen. So it's not wavy, it's just fairly fast. It's been quite warm weather in the last few weeks, and then the water's pretty warm still and warm weather today, so that makes for fast racing here in Montreal. So our next race is going to be the C final of the under 18 women's C1 200, and that will take place in about 3 minutes. But in lane 1 for that race, we'll have Sakawa's Abigail Campbell. In lane 2, Jillian Kurelski, from Calgary. In lane 3, Abby Charlesworth from False Creek. In lane 4, Amelia Smith from Masqua. In lane 5, Sarah Rumsheed from Rideau. In lane 6, Anna Saminiuk from Rideau. In lane 7, Leanne Castonguay d'Otterburn. In lane 8, Emma Yule from Sakawa. And in lane 9, Katrina Stork from Pointe Claire. And that will be the under 18 women's C1 200 meter C final. And that's the start list for you at home. So this will be our last race of the women's C1 category and the penultimate race for our event today. And we'll have the Parava kayak race after this event. So stay tuned for an exciting race of a variety of athletes kind of competing against each other from various category in the kayak category. So from KL1 to 3, men and women competing in a similar race. And we'll have that for you at 5:10, so in about 12 minutes time. But in the meantime, we'll close this C final here for the under 18 women's C1 in just a few minutes as athletes are crossing the 250 and making their way slowly to the start line at the 200 meters. And athletes are just making their way down now, as you can see, down to the start block. So we should have them all lined up in a few seconds, and then we will get this C final for the under 18 women's C1 underway. Again, in lane 1, in lane 1, Abigail Campbell from Sakawa. In lane 2, Jillian Kuralski from Calgary. Lane 3, Abby Charlesworth from False Creek. Lane 4, Amelia Smith from Masqua. Lane 5, Sarah Rumsheed from Rideau. Lane 6, Anna Semeniuk from Rideau. Lane 7, Leanne Castonguay d'Otterburn. Lane 8, Emma Ewell from Sakawa. And in lane 9, Katrina Stork from Point Claire. And we have a start to the C final here for the under 18 women's C1. Looks like a really strong start from lane 6 here, really cranking the stroke rate really high as she's getting off the line, and really keeping that rate really high here in the first half of this race. Does look like lane 7 is also challenging a little bit, but lane 6 seems to be pulling away a little bit. Lane 5 is trying to make a move to come back, and it does look like lane 3 is also up there, really powering from the outside. Strong long stroke in the second half, and lane 5 is making a move to come back on her. So certainly the second half is going to be close, and should be a very close finish as we get through the finish line here in just a few strokes. Close to call here for the win between lane 3 and lane 5. We'll have to wait for the official confirmation there, but great race by these two women. So we can see just in slow motion some really good strokes staying forward. Looks like lane 3 just took a few extra strokes and may have gotten away with the win anyways over lane 5, but very, very close between those two. So great racing. Do you think lane 3 may have edged out lane 5 here for this win? So again, Abby Charlesworth from False Creek taking the win here, but we'll wait until we get confirmation. And we're still waiting for the result for the previous race, the B final of the women's C1. So we'll have that confirmed when that is available. But if I'm not mistaken, Veronica from False Creek taking the win in that one. But we'll wait for the time when that becomes available in a few minutes. So that race is actually confirmed now. So for the B final of the under 18 women's C1 200 meters, we do have the results for that. So Veronica from False Creek from lane 3 winning in a 51.7, followed by Jaden Kenziora from Masqua in a 52.3, and then Alexia Gagnon du Lac-Beauport 53.0, winning all the way from lane 9. So great racing by these three women in the B final of the women's C1 200. We'll wait for the confirmation of the results for the race you just saw, the C final, in just a few minutes. In the meantime, we will have about 7 minutes between this and our next event, the Para Kayak 200 meter final. In that race, we'll have the chance to see Brianna Hennessy from Ottawa River, Stephen Samoila from Balmy Beach, Gabrielle Ferron-Bouillou from Rideau, Philippe Marchand de Shawinigan, and Jeremy Hall from Greater Edmonton. So it should be a great race that we'll see. Race within a race, we have athletes racing in men and women, but also KL1, KL2, and KL3 as we're going through. And then we can get into a little bit more detail as we do that, as we start covering that race. But the results for the under 18 women's C1 200 are just confirmed now. So Abby Charlesworth from lane 3 did take the win from False Creek, in a 54.0. In second place was Sarah Rumsheed from Rideau in 54.1. So really close, 0.09 between the two athletes. Third place, it was Anna Semeniuk from Rideau as well in a 54.5. Amelia Smith in fourth place from Masqua. And then Abigail Campbell from Sakawa in a 56.2, coming in fifth place. So a great race by all the athletes here in the women's C1 200. Got to see the senior A final, senior B final, under 18 A, B, and C finals. So great depth in the women's C1 program across the country. So as I've mentioned, we got one last race for today. It will be the Para Kayak 200 meter final. Within this race, we'll have the chance to see Brianna Hennessy, Paralympian from Tokyo, and as well as a number of other athletes that have raced internationally, whether in canoe kayak or in other sports. All great stories, all extremely proficient athlete, all working under Mark Kramer, the national team coach for the para program, and then continuing to develop that program and getting stronger and stronger every year. So excited to see the progress they have all made since we last saw them race, either at World Cups or at the national team trials in Dartmouth, and even progression from last year when folks would have raced at the Paralympic trials in BC. So we're about 5 minutes away from that race. It will be a 200-meter race. Athletes are just above the start line now, and then just warming up and getting ready to go. We also have, as you may see on the water, a number of crew boats getting ready to go, and that's because tomorrow is a day dedicated to crew boats. We'll have some doubles, C2s and K2s racing over 500 meters primarily. And so should be some very exciting races. Those will be selection for a variety of competitions this summer, whether they are the World Championships in August in Dartmouth, or the Under 23 and Junior World Championships, and the Olympic Hopes Regattas as well. So not to miss tomorrow's crew boat races. And then on Monday, the last day of our program, we'll have some quad races in the morning, K4s and C4s, confirming some races for the World Championships as well. And then after that will be some longer distances event, whether thousands or 5,000 meter events. We actually have about 50-something men's athletes registered in the 5K for men's. So it should be a bit of an experience for people out there to line up with that many kayakers on the start line. So it should be a great watch for folks that are around at the Basin and get the opportunity to watch something that we don't actually get to watch that often. The closest thing for us might be the national team, the national 6K that we get to see. So we're just getting ready to go in just a minute. Apologies for the delay. Had folks enter the room here and wanted to make sure that we continue the coverage for all of you at home that are watching the last race of the day. I can see athletes actually starting to make their way down the course, so that should be in about 2 to 3 minutes now. Again, they'll be in a variety of lanes. We've talked about variety of events within the race as we're going through. So we'll have Brianna Hennessy in lane 1. And then there'll be a few lanes open until we get to Stefan Samoila from Balmy Beach in lane 4, as you can see on the screen. Then Gabrielle Ferron-Bouillou will be in lane 6, so an empty lane between Stefan and Gabrielle. And Gabrielle comes from Rideau. Another empty lane before we get to Philippe Marchand from Shawinigan. And then Jeremy Hall from Greater Edmonton will be in lane 9. And the reason for those empty lanes is really to create some buffer space between the various categories. And the reason we have all these athletes racing in the same category is that it's a good opportunity to actually get some competition and kind of compare times and speed across the entire para program. So, and it's a better viewing experience for all of you at home as well, as we have those races that are combined, and we can cheer a number of athletes on as they try to hit their time standard for the various international competition they're trying to qualify for. So we'll get underway here in about a minute or so. The athletes are just coming down, as you can see, towards the start line. So they've passed the 250. So we'll start in a few minutes here. Same process as we've seen in the past. They'll get to the start line, get in the blocks, and then we'll have a start. Again, here we have different categories going through from KL1 to KL3, kind of covering the range of of ability of each of the paddlers, and creating some categories there that are dictated by the Paralympic Committee and the ICF. So all these athletes would have gone through what we call classification to identify which category they can compete in, and then that will kind of dictate who they're competing against and which standard they have to meet to be able to qualify for international teams. And that program has really grown over the last few years, and that's kudos to a number of people, a number of clubs that were pioneer in creating para programs, and then also a number of key volunteers that have worked in making this happen. But here we go. We have a start here. Really strong start from Gabrielle in the middle. Gabrielle really comes from a really exciting background, and you can see like just that power and that circuit. Oh, and we have a tip from Greater Edmonton here in lane 9, so I'm sure that boats will get there very quickly from a safety standpoint. But really strong race here as we're going down the course by Gabrielle. He's coming in, and Brianna out in lane 1 having a really strong race here on the outside, as well as Stefan in the middle. So all these athletes pushing out and pushing really fast until the finish line, trying to hit their standard. But really strong race here by Gabe. Really, really good. Continuing to build on speed he had in the past. We can see Stefan here closing his race really well, closing in. And then here's Brianna on the outside, continuing to progress and have a really good, strong finish here. And then great race here in lane 8, finishing out and rounding the field by Philippe Marchand de Shawinigan. Boats are getting Jeremy Hall, who sadly tipped right after the start from Greater Edmonton. But also, and there you go, we see athletes just getting in now. Everything seems safe and good, but they'll get him in just a minute as the safety boat just makes his way. So we'll wait for the conclusion and the results. Nice shot here of Gabe, who just finished his race. Continuing to progress. Gabe just started para kayaking very recently and continuing to drive and coming out of the Rideau Canoe Club. So great progression that we've seen over the last few years. Really, really exciting to see progression of the para program. In the meantime, I'll before we get the final results, I will say thank you very much for everyone for joining us today. It was a really exciting day, lots of great finals. Thanks to all the volunteers that made this event happen today, and then all the crews that are here and families supporting athletes. Hope you enjoyed the broadcast today, and hope you'll join us tomorrow for more crew boat races, doubles primarily, then on Monday with some quads and long distance. So before I leave you, just wanted to confirm the results. So Gabriel from Rideau did take the win here in his category in a 44.9. So great time here from him. Stefan Samoila from Balmy Beach with a 50.2. Brianna Hennessy from Ottawa River in a 53.0. Philippe Marchand de Shawinigan in a 59.0. And then sadly, a DNF for Jeremy Hall, who tipped after the line. But great shot here for all these athletes who trained together, and then we'll be cooling down and getting ready for the rest of the weekend. So on that note, thanks very much everyone for joining us. It was a pleasure to be here. Happy to be doing this for you and just giving you a fun experience and coverage of the event. We'll be back tomorrow for another round of finals in the afternoon. Until then, have a good evening, and we'll talk tomorrow.
The song our paddles sing in the stillness tells the story of a country. It's a song born here that echoes through history. A note to distance, the unknown. We sweat, burn, push, and fight, not for money, glory, or accolades, because it reminds us of who we are. Screw loose daredevils and romantic obsessives, most ourselves in the rage and the whip and the whirl, or the reflective silence before the gun goes.